Hey guys, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Zach.
Welcome to the Band Shop Podcast.
This is episode 1 with the blends.
Enjoy.
So guys, what's going on?
All right, we're live.
Not much. We just played some music.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys introduce yourself, say your band name, we'll go down the road.
We're the Blends. I am Matt.
I'm Nick.
I'm Brenton.
Where are you guys out of?
We're based here in Lafayette.
Yeah?
Yeah,
We all grew up in Delphi, though.
it's true.
Oh, those Delphi people.
I did
I
go
don't know
to
what you're talking about.
I did go to high school in Delphi. It's true.
You told me Mrs. School Bus was at a different place. Like, I don't know. So for a moment, I thought it was a different school.
It's probably those aliens.
Yeah, I know.
I lost like 15 minutes of my day. I don't know what
It's like
happened.
all those cornfields.
I didn't even
You're
know
like-
how to read the clock.
Hang out,
At the time
right?
of point in my life.
I was like watching something, looking at something today. It's like cattle mutilation without blood. I'm like, I believe this.
Our old
Is that
roommate.
vegan or?
Our old roommate is from Missouri, and he was talking about the cows getting abducted and shit in Missouri. Remember, there's that massive cattle.
What do you think?
Maybe there's still probably.
Like,
Ben's over there signaling to you to scoot in or something. How's the angles?
oh, am I leaning out?
Yeah. Oh, you were leaning out of camera. Ah, there we go.
Do I need this?
Nah, you're good.
All right.
Yeah. So this is first podcast for us.
Nice.
So it's awesome to have you guys on to do
No,
it.
that was
Well, thanks
that
for the
was
hospitality.
It worked out
Nice.
great. Like so last minute, I was not expecting.
Absolutely.
scheduled
Yeah,
this yesterday.
Yeah.
He sent me a message. He's like, "Man, I really want someone for Wednesday. This is back on Monday." And it's like, "Man, I can't find anyone." Then last night he's like, "Oh, we're getting the blends. Just so you know." I was like, "All right."
Yeah, because Zach posted it on Facebook, and I saw it, and I immediately tagged the Blends name, and I was like, well, Matt writes all the songs, and it's basically his band, so I'm going to
Well.
edit that, and I untagged the Blends and tagged Matt, and then Matt tagged the Blends.
Well, it's more about like. I'm glad we could have like a Wednesday off. That was like a.
It just worked out, you know.
Worked
Well, and it
out
worked out
very
great
well.
for us too because like he happened to actually be completely free this
Yeah.
evening to do this, so it was
Oh, yeah.
no kids, no nothing. Like, and
I'm-
we're old fucks that have kids and shit, so like we don't get as much free time to do all of these things, but we try to work it in as best we can.
Blends don't have any children we know of.
And then like they just walk through the door, and then
Dad!
another podcast. Like, oh no! Like, I knew this day was gonna come.
Speaking of coming, that was
Oh,
20 years ago.
Yeah, basically 20 years
The
ago.
Blends
today.
are also poor enough that the children won't want to come find us.
It's like punk rock doesn't pay, kids. Sorry.
you got any Domino's coupons?
So, you didn't tell me the name of the podcast before we came on.
Yeah, band shop.
Band Shop.
Band shop.
Like
yeah.
we played 6 songs.
Yep.
Me and Nick wrote all the songs. Over the course of the last 3 or 4 years. I started writing these songs 4 years ago.
It's been
When,
much work in progress.
I was living in Chicago. 'Cause me and Brent used to be in a band, the Clinton era,
Mhm.
with our buddy Parker, who plays with Evercorn now.
And
but-
Nick Russell wrote all this
Nick
stuff.
Russell, our other buddy that lived in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
When that band broke up, I started writing songs, and so 4 years ago, here we are.
Yeah, because that broke up because Nick moved to Chicago.
Yeah, our buddy
And
moved
we
to
just
Chicago,
couldn't
and I
sustain
roomed
it.
there, and
Oh,
we
yeah,
tried
yeah.
to get things going on, and so I came back. Me and Nick started, putting the songs together.
Yeah, basically what happened is you went up there and started writing songs before the Blends was a thing.
Yeah,
And
Well,
then
yeah.
I came up that November and helped move you out.
Yeah.
And then you came back to Indiana. We moved you back to Indiana.
you know how
And
it
then
gets,
you
like,
started the Blends.
It's Chicago's
you know.
real cold, and like I was really depressed. I was just like writing like really sad songs.
It was good inspiration, though. Yeah.
And Brenton's like, "All right, man, let's pack up your shit and go back to Indiana." And then it was like, well,
It's got to be pretty bad if you wanted to come back to Indiana.
Twice. After he got his degree, he moved to California for 2 weeks. He drove himself to California and back, basically.
It's like, okay, so, like, you have, like, a relationship, and then, like, you think you're broken up, and then it's, like, 5 a.m., and the phone's ringing, and you're like, oh, come cuddle with me, and you're like, all right, I'll be right over.
I'll come cuddle with you, Indiana.
Indiana was fucking calling me. Let me tell you, they're calling me away from whatever problems I was having in Chicago. Let me tell you.
And see, I've known you for many, many years.
Yeah.
Since you were a kid.
Yeah.
And I've known you off and on. I actually knew of you.
Right.
Before I put the face to the name.
Yeah.
For many years.
Yeah, me and Ben used to hang out when they were doing If Forever Were a Day, right?
Yeah.
Well,
oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, way back in the day.
The old days.
Oh, back when the
That was back in our Hero Returns days.
Okay.
A long time ago.
I remember seeing probably you guys were playing, what was it? A Cold Dark Night.
So yeah, that would have been like 2008, 9, somewhere in there.
I know I came to see you guys when you guys played at the Delphi Center.
Oh.
That would have been 2009.
Yeah, that was a crazy night.
April.
I was there.
Yeah.
Because we played with
That
you
was
guys
our
too.
freshman year at Purdue.
Is that what it was? That sounds about right to me.
It was like April of 2009.
Because I was in California Color at that time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because we graduated in 08.
Fucking
You and I did.
youngins.
Nick graduated in 07. But
Youngins. I'm way too old.
that's the thing. We have
That much older?
that's the
What,
thing
like
about this
04?
band and our
04, yeah.
general friend group. Like, all three of us have known each other since at least middle school. Nick and I rode the bus together in elementary
Yeah.
school.
And then
I gave him shit because he had
And all
a
of our
better
friends went-
Pokemon Game Boy than I did, and like
Yeah,
I was jealous, so I gave him shit all the time.
Yeah, him and I did not get along when we were young.
Yeah,
and then in
so-
high school, he joined the
I
drum
got
line, and I gave him
Pokemon,
the
so
second
it worked
snare
out.
next to me, and we bonded.
Yeah. So
Bonded over beating them skins.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
how it works.
And me and Breton started hanging out at 12 years old when we were in band class. Doing then later on.
Yeah, in
drum line high
8th
school.
grade is when
Yeah.
we like
Sixth grade, still we-
6th grade is when we met. We became friends like
Yeah.
8th grade.
You gotta fucking hang out and play drums a couple of years before you're friends.
Yeah. But no, that was the thing. I remember when Matt started playing guitar because I think it was our freshman year, and we didn't,
Yeah.
do the whole band camp thing, like go to band camp and stay the
Yeah.
night. But like we were on the blacktop every
Sure.
morning for 6 hours and then went home type
Yeah.
shit.
Marching band, yeah.
Yeah, marching band. They called it band camp.
We were just
still.
shit posting. It was like 12 percussion members, and then like no trumpet, or like one trumpet, and then like two clarinets.
well,
and it was
because
just like boom, boom,
you were
boom,
the
boom,
best
boom,
trumpet
boom.
player, and you switched to the drum line.
He was like the best
Fucking-
trumpet player, then he quit trumpet to play March.
It's like I'll play snare, and then one of the lugs was broken off the snare, and then so it's like out of tune, and I sucked. So whatever. Good
Anyway,
times.
that's when Matt started playing guitar.
Well,
because we were at
I
band
wanted to play
camp.
drums, but Brent was obviously better at drums. Like from the age of 14. I was like,
Dude, I started drumming when I was
Yeah.
5.
I was like,
On
well,
snare
See,
drum.
I mean, he and I grew up in the same neighborhood for what I think we lived there for like 8 years.
we could literally. I mean, we'd have to.
I could see your house if I walked out
Yeah,
my front
if there-
door. I could see your house.
If there weren't a house between
Yeah.
us, we could throw rocks at
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
Technically,
It's like me and Crawford.
So it's like, I remember you just being a kid and just starting to get behind your dad's kid and like playing
Yeah.
around on that and
because Dad didn't let me touch a kit until I was 13.
yeah.
He put me just on a snare drum from 5 years old to 13. Just rudiments and getting
Yeah.
technical.
Yep.
And then he let me loose. He didn't teach me a damn thing.
Blast
afterward,
beats.
He's like, all right.
Now this
So-
here, Sonny boy, this is called a gravity blast.
oh yeah.
it was just like double bass pedal, and then he's in like double bass.
That's
pedal
gonna be like
with
me when my son's about to turn 8, and so in a few years when he's like 12, 13, I'll be like, nah, look here. This is called a blast beat, motherfucker.
Got tense up all your muscles, but we lose at the same time, and look like you're about to orgasm.
Have you ever listened to Dragon Force?
Dude, you telling me.
That drummer, like, all he does is blast beats.
Okay.
I remember me and Brent started playing together. I just wanted to play System of a Down covers. Like that's the first song I learned. Was
Aerials.
Violent Pornography.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's the
Oh,
first
yeah.
song we
That
played
was like
together.
yeah, that was the first
with Josh.
Yeah. And then later on, fucking Aerials jammed on that one like hundreds of times.
And then we did Sweet Leaf.
Oh yeah,
And I was
Sweet
so
Leaf.
straight edge back then that I wanted us to change the lyrics to Sweet Tea.
The Black
Because
Sabbath.
I figured out that's what Sweet Leaf meant.
You know,
and I
like
was,
jamming on Black Sabbath riffs at the fucking basketball game.
yeah, because we were in pep band and I was the drummer, and our drum instructor let Matt play guitar, so
We
After-
always tried to do that, and they'd never let us.
he'd let us, like, when
Oh,
the
yeah.
game was over, he'd let us stay up there and jam for like
Oh.
10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, we'd be up there jamming all the time,
Yeah.
playing aerials.
And
Whatever.
Sweet Leaf.
Sweet Leaf, aerials, whatever.
I'm trying to remember. Did you actually have the guitar tuned to what the album version was, or did you just
At
roll
different
with it?
times I did. I always was like, I had that shitty Ibanez, and I'd always like down tune it, and I had like a red star on it. I was like, yeah, I'm like edgy. I got a pentagram on my guitar.
You did. I remember you did have
Nothing says that I'm metal more than carving a pentagram in my
The thing was
Ibanez.
pretty,
well,
like,
nothing
on
says
point,
more
though.
than metal than Matt in high school one day. I forget why, but he went to my locker with a pencil and drew a pentagram out over it. And everybody all day were like, Brenton, I thought you were a good kid. Why is your locker
Teachers
got a
didn't like it,
pentagram?
like drawing
I'm like,
pentagrams on the
I
fucking
just
lockers,
shook-
and the teacher
all day I
like,
just kept
"Matt,
shaking my
stop
head. I'm like, it was Matt.
yeah, they drawing that shit on lockers. I'm like, hold up here.
You get banned.
Yeah, you got in trouble, kind of. I don't think you
people,
got
I was
detention.
chastised. They
Yeah.
were like, I've
They
been
made you
doing
clean
that.
it, basically.
Fucking better erase that. I'm like, okay.
You draw it upside down, but then you take the door off and you flip it the other way and like attach
It's like
it
good
like
over
really
evil.
shittily. Yeah.
Oh look, it's just the Rage Against the Machine star.
It's like, I'll put that back. Oh, that's
Or the Starman from Rush.
Yeah, there you go. Huh?
If you flip it upside down.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, so it's like I've like heard stuff about you guys for a while, and it's like I haven't ever gotten a chance to actually go and see you play live yet, because of obviously like we were talking like we're old fucks with kids and shit, so
Yeah.
it's like it's hard for us to get out. Is a lot of times the shows that we go to are like the shows we're playing at,
Right.
and that's
Totally.
about it because it's like we
Right.
just don't
It's like,
have
yes,
time,
it's so good.
so it's like
You have a life outside of your music
yeah,
life,
so it's like,
know?
we for things like that you gotta like schedule, it's like, oh well, we're already scheduled to go play the show, so let's hope that some of our our friends are on the bill too. So it's
Totally.
like we see people on it, we're like, hell yeah, like that's how we've become good friends with like Lot Lizards and all those guys, is just
Yeah.
because we played shows with them.
Totally.
But it was awesome to get the chance to see you guys play here,
Yeah.
and I think
It
I
was
felt
great.
like the
I
vibe was
loved it.
actually really good. I mean, given the fact that you're in a more studio setting, you're not necessarily being played in front of a live audience. I thought
Yeah.
it went over really well.
I thought
No,
it
I had a
too.
blast.
I felt good.
I was like, I think the
That's great.
sound in this room is really good for the way we were set up. I could
Yeah.
hear everything pretty well.
Sounds good, vibes good, there's a lot of space, it's just like comfortable.
Yeah, totally.
Well, and you said you spent like a month prepping this.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. We've been working on this for a while.
We've doubled our space in here.
Yeah.
That's what Ben was saying. He's like, he said you like gained 4 feet
Oh,
on
it-
each
it
It used to
was-
wall.
stop like right here.
Yeah. We probably gained closer to 8
Yeah.
this
The
direction.
edge of this
and,
curve right here is like.
it's only gonna get better from here. Like
Totally.
the idea is to just keep expanding with it, keep going with it, and stuff. It's,
That's his first one. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's like, originally, we were kind of. I'll say we, but it's more me. But I was kind of pussying out with the idea of wanting to try to have, the first act be something like, oh, let's do an acoustic act or something. So it's a little easier to start with because, I've got 2 mics. I don't have to worry about too much. And,
Yeah, totally.
Right.
and it's like, that
It's
didn't
like
necessarily
burning.
work the way that I wanted to. And it was like, you guys were like, oh, yeah, we'll jump in. I was like, fuck it, let's just jump head first.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go in and
I couldn't believe how that worked.
This is,
I'd say within 5 hours,
Honestly,
5
I mean,
or 6 hours
from-
from like me seeing your post online last night.
Yeah, at this point, it's been just over 24 hours, I think.
Since you posted
Yeah.
it, and we were like,
No.
let's
I've
do
always
it.
wanted to get into podcasting, so this is my first participation.
That was the first thing I thought. I was like,
we're all
Matt Blends. Like, I just was like,
No.
Well, it was funny because, like, I messaged you right
yeah, because then you
afterwards.
PM'd me. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not the ringleader here. You need
Yeah.
to talk to Matt.
Yeah, because I was just like, what's funny is I was actually just thinking about reaching out to you guys, but I thought, oh, it's probably super short notice. It's not going to work very well. Like, I didn't want to be like, hey, do you want to come on tomorrow? Or,
We're
be like,
they were mobile.
We're kind of like that though.
Just
We're a
leave the
pick
guitar
up
in
and
the
go
car.
band. Like one night we were it was like practice / hangout, and it was like post practice
Oh,
hangout
yeah.
time. and Matt got noticed that there was a open mic. It was at Anami's.
Yeah.
And
Drum set provided. We
a
went
local
there, just
drummer had
rocked
the
'em.
drum set provided, so Matt's like, "Let's go," and I'm like, "All right," and we just went and did it.
Oh yeah,
on a whim.
well, we've had plenty of
Same
rock
night.
shows like that. This is sort of our most busiest summer. Yeah, mostly the last couple of years. Me and Nick were just like hanging out, writing songs, and Brenton's joined us. We did 5 shows with Brenton this year.
Yeah, they had a few drummers before I joined.
Well,
or a couple.
more like just like trying to figure out what we were gonna
It's
do.
more like if you have like rough demos and you had a drum machine kind of running the program and stuff, and then Brent's got his character, and stuff, and then like applying that to the stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like,
My
it's-
character.
Me and
No,
Nick
not with that,
have
but,
recorded,
It was funny.
several EPs with just me and Nick in our apartments. We went to a studio, like, sharing drum duties, like overlaying everything, like,
That sounds very, very familiar. I mean, when
yeah,
we
all
started
the good
doing our
ones.
project, it was the same kind of thing. It was just the two of us. Just the two. No, anyway,
Yeah.
but it was us. I mean, when we started, and like we've now kind of been through a couple drummers. We're now but I mean, what's funny though is like when we started, we actually were gonna just be a 2-piece.
Totally.
It was just
Well,
gonna be.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Just condense it down.
And it was just going to be like me. In fact, that's part of where we got our sound was because I originally was running my guitar through like an A/B split,
Right.
and was pitch shifting down and running to a bass cab.
Cool.
So and so you had both octaves, and which gives it kind of that 70s tone having the octave, and then to have a drummer, which is kind of like I don't know if you guys listen to 68. That's what he does live. They do the same thing.
Yeah.
But
I think so.
I seen them live.
Yeah,
They
68's
opened-
amazing
They,
live.
I know. I was telling you guys
Wait,
about them
where were
once.
they at?
I think it was like before I was dating Kayla. I was single and I went on a random date, and she was really into.
Norma Jean.
No, they're like a heavier band.
Oh no, you're thinking of Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, they
Yeah, but
opened-
68 opened for them.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
at their concert in. I think it was in Indy.
Yeah.
I went to that concert and I enjoyed 68 a hell of a lot
Oh
more.
yeah, 68. I mean, I've known of Josh for a long time because Josh used to be in the Chariot and the Norma Jean before that. So, he, but that whole thing with him was the same thing. Like when Tyler and I started doing Eros, the concept was the same. It was like let's strip everything back because we had come from, especially me, I'd come from playing in bands with 5 members, 6 members, So it was like let's try to just see what I can write with just one guitar, and I was like, hey, you want to play drums? Because he hadn't played drums, and we'd never played in something where he was playing drums.
Yeah.
I see.
Like we would jam and stuff when we were
Right.
in other bands together like that, but I'd never
Not
just had
something
him.
structured.
Yeah, I'd never had him just play drums. So that was the original concept, and then we started kind of when I started writing material for it, and I would send him ideas, and he'd send me back like, "Oh, why don't you do this?" And of course, you were like super busy at that time.
Yeah.
So it was like it ended up like the first EP. I ended up pretty much doing most everything,
Right.
with a lot of his input.
Yeah, we'd send files.
Yeah,
back and
we'd send
forth,
files back and forth. We weren't even physically in the same rooms a lot of times. It was just like I would do some stuff at home, demo wise, send it to him, be like, "What do you think about this?" And he'd be like, "Oh, why don't you do this?" And and we were doing that. And then we decided to actually make it like a full-fledged band. It was originally going to be like a one-off.
Yeah.
And then it ended up turning into a legit thing where we started playing,
Nice.
significantly. But I think it's I understand like the idea of like just having a couple of guys and just bouncing ideas off of each other like that for several years.
I mean, having just a 3-piece, it makes it nice.
And it worked like we were talking about. We've known each other our whole lives, so it worked out when I was available again.
Yeah,
I got
Brenton
out
had
of a
projects in the
serious
meantime.
relationship that was like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
strapping me down.
Yeah, he had like
type
a
thing.
relationship. He was working on projects with like other friends.
I'm still
And
am, but I have more time.
Parker, you were
now.
working with Parker
at the time. Yeah.
and Parker's got a different band now, and it came up.
Yeah, I drum for like 5 or 6 acts right now.
Yeah. Brent's all over the place. He's got all kinds of fucking gigs right now. And let me say, when I saw you guys play at the spa, you guys were like slaying. No,
I'm mad at myself. I
I'm
don't
trying to
think I've
think.
ever seen you play
That
live.
show.
I missed
That
it,
was a great
unfortunately.
show.
That was a good show. That was with Red Tail.
dude.
Yeah.
And Red Tail's
never
fucking
saw
amazing.
that band.
Red Tail.
They
I'm
were
trying to get.
fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Red Tail
Red Tail's
was
great.
amazing. I
I've
was
never
like,
heard of them.
Yeah, Red Tail. If you
he
guys,
had
I don't know how much
the
you guys.
Rigs of Doom T-shirt on. He's got a green mat amp. It's like I wanted that amp for so long.
I don't know how much you guys know about like the local scene 10 years ago.
No,
or whatever.
I don't.
But
We were
those
in
three
it.
guys, used to be in a band called Lawnmower Incident.
okay.
And,
I've heard of them.
and
Yeah.
well,
Lawnmower
three of
Incident?
them were in Lawnmower Incident.
Right.
And then they became the Incidents for a little while, and then just kind of split up.
Yeah.
And hadn't done anything for several years, and then they got
And, like,
together and did.
Butcher lived like 2 doors down from me at that time when I lived
Yeah,
on Schilling
yeah, and
with Clem.
See, that would have been when we first started, like, really getting serious about music more in general as a friend group. It was pre-Clinton era still, but around that time, 10 years
Man.
ago, would have been when we were really, like,
College was a bad time for music for me. Man, let me tell you.
It could have been better, but it was like,
let's
you know,
just
with
not
the
talk about
opportunities
our
to go
20s
there.
as much
You know,
as possible.
listening to bad music and not playing enough guitar, and I was just like,
Robotusk.
you know, I'd
Dude,
like
I-
try to make demos, and they just be like, "What?"
I
What
feel
am
you because there
doing?
was about a 4-year time span where I didn't do much musically because like
Totally.
I played pretty much from high school till probably sometime around like 2010-ish 2011, and that was when everything I was like, well, fuck, I'm in my mid-20s, time to grow up and get a real job and a real life, and
Oh, fuck.
all that kind of stuff. Because I mean,
The
but
Great Swindle.
but also, it's like when you get to that age and you're still doing it, you get so much pressure from the outside world. Like,
Yes,
you
yes.
got friends, family members, whatever, being like, you maybe should, consider, doing something with your life, and it's like,
Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
block all the cameras, Tyler, Jesus.
Yes, you're welcome.
But like, so there was a time span when I got with my now ex-wife, but like when we got
I got one too.
when we got together and like we had my son and everything, like I settled down and kind of stopped doing music and focused on just working full time for like 4 years. And it drove me absolutely fucking insane. Like I hated my life, absolutely hated it. And I eventually got to the point where I was like, I gotta start playing again.
That's when we started the Eurus project, really.
Totally.
Yeah, because you and I started doing that first, and then it was after the first EP that I went and started playing for Gambit for a little while, for about a year. For King's Gambit.
Dude.
Repping them
Dude,
right there.
we got I got to catch these guys at the spot. They were opening for a couple touring metal bands from Arizona that were also fucking awesome. No, it was a fun time. I like hanging out at the spot.
Yeah, those guys are good guys too. Like,
Yeah, and I remember fucking Anthony hanging out when they were playing what?
Oh, Sellers?
Yeah.
I remember him from when we were
day
kids.
when they were hanging out with
Ben and I.
playing with
Yep.
Ben.
Yep.
That's kind of where we used to. Yeah. So I
I was in California Color with them too. So,
I just
Well,
know him
'cause-
from like when I was younger.
Well, yeah,
and I
basically
watched
what
his
had
band.
happened was like we were in a band together.
I remember that band going around,
We
though.
switched things around. Like our vocalist moved, like he was talking about, moved back to Missouri. So we took our guitar player, who was actually a good vocalist as well, and we moved him to vocals. And I needed a guitarist, so I got a hold of Anthony and was like, "Hey, we got an open spot. You need to come in." And he was what, like 18 at the time?
yeah, I think
maybe?
he just turned 18.
He was our age, right?
Yeah.
Who did I buy a fucking?
Or maybe a year
Yeah,
younger
yeah,
than
you're
me.
younger, I think, than
I think he was,
a crate.
Probably.
he would have graduated
half
in
stack
09
from
when we
somebody
were-
in
It was probably him.
California Collar. Who had a crate half stack they sold me?
It was probably
Because Anthony, Ben, and I used to hang out. a
I think
lot.
he sold that
When
to
we
get
were
his
kids.
orange.
probably.
Who sold it?
Well, he had that.
I don't
He had
think
it
I bought
Randall
it
for
from
a while
Anthony.
too.
I was like, oh,
That
these
hybrid.
are
California Color was just a
crate
four-piece.
amps.
It was
I've
me.
never used
He
that.
sold
Like
it
the-
for the Marshall.
Is that what it was?
Was it?
Marshall.
Was
That's
it
what it was,
Marshall?
the Marshall.
I don't know.
Yeah, shout out to Benny, by the way. He's behind the cameras back there. Maybe one of these days I'll put a camera back there for him.
He's checking.
Oh,
We,
yeah.
we just need a camera
No,
like, right on his
absolutely.
face.
Just right on his face, and then he can switch
Bless
to it
you.
every now and then, just be like,
Oh yeah. No. We want to. I want to see Ben on camera, please.
He's like that picture.
Well, I'll try to get another camera. We'll make sure we do that.
Like,
but
If yours wasn't dead, you could just hook yours up.
yeah. But yeah, so it's like I brought him in to replace our guitarist when we moved into vocals, and then we played for like 6 months, 7 months before I ended up leaving.
As a right
and,
within.
And then that morphed into California Color, and so then you stuck around and played with them
quite a few years.
Yeah, and then we like.
And then Clem left, and we brought in
Jake.
Yeah. And then I ended up realizing that I wanted to be a big boy and make big boy money.
Yeah.
And I left the band, and then it eventually turned into King's Gambit.
yeah, eventually.
Yeah, right.
So it's like we all have kind of. It's funny how many, like guys like you guys and like people like we start finding it's like it's less than 6 degrees of separation. It's like everybody, everybody in this area, like musicians wise, it's like we're a bunch of dirty whores. Like we all have slept with each other musically in one way or another.
Even the same group of people, 4 guys, could have had 5 different bands with each other.
Oh yeah, I mean, and constantly like crossbreeding with each other and trying different things out and like
metal incestual.
And so it's like
whatever.
So like.
Yeah, that was really fun, that spot show when we played with Red Tails, because
I've been trying to get them on here.
Brought me back to the day when we used to play Skylight Coffee House with Lawnmower.
Dude,
yeah,
I did when I was in high school. I did an open mic night there one time because that's after that it basically closed down. But
that damn piano.
I can remember that place.
Fuck that piano.
I can remember that place because I did do an open mic night there as a kid, and we did like some sort of like experimental. Instrumental
that was
with my bassist friend who lives in Massachusetts now.
We did a show there one time when we were in our Hero Returns where we literally packed the place all the way out the door, and there were people out front of the building.
I hear that place was like popping.
It was great.
And I did that with OHR, and then I think we did it again with Cold Dark Night. We also packed it.
You guys, it was,
because if you think about
and you guys were on that bill.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
That's when you broke your fucking bass. Was that?
Okay, the problem is Blake May, which is King's Gambit's drum player now, was in Ghost.
Ghost, yeah.
Ghost played that night too.
Yeah.
So did.
So it just goes back to what you're saying. We're all dirty musicians.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we all inbreed.
I miss hanging out at that place those days. Like I heard
Burns Like
legends
Rome.
about it. Like I said, I was only there that one time,
Gowdy.
like a
Talking
one-off
about
open
Gowdy.
mic night with
Todd.
James.
I know when you said Massachusetts, friend.
The one time I was ever there, I was like biffing my own experimental instrumental. It was bad. I was like 16.
Didn't they have a band called the Bill Cosby Experiment, and then like they had a song called Puddin' Pop?
I mean, there's definitely
like all they at the end they just go like Puddin' Pop, and then that's the vocals, and then it's over, and it's like what the fuck?
Wait, I don't think I know that one. Like,
I don't either.
It sounds awesome
James
though.
described that.
I don't know, but I believe it.
That's not, like nowadays you could get away with that being like a punk
Bill
band.
Cosby's not working so well.
With the current situation,
Well,
it could be like a punk band called the Bill Cosby.
It's like the Tony Danza tap dance extravaganza. It's like
Oh, that one, yeah. It's like search on YouTube.
you're like, all
T-shirt
right,
link available.
famous by association. Like, put me in.
It's like the Flanders band.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, good stuff.
Oakley Dokley.
Yeah.
Those
I was
guys
like, I like watched them play. I was like, well, at least they got a gimmick. Like,
yeah, and they're
it
all
works.
actually good musicians. That's the thing is, it's like you can't give them shit because like you guys actually can play.
It's like Weird Al.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh god, yeah.
Like he's goofy as shit, but he's creative and can actually play music.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
You can play the accordion like a
Yeah.
motherfucker.
yeah, the accordion at least. Jesus Christ, like, put me in.
I found out he's
Get
like
an
my
accordion player
Weird
with
Al's like my
lens.
dad's age, so like
Yeah.
almost 60.
God,
And-
your dad's almost 60. Shit.
Yeah, he's
Now I feel
59,
old.
yeah. And I saw him. It had to be only 6 or 7 years ago, in a leopard suit, do the full blown splits on stage at Elliott Hall.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I was like, how the? He's 50 something at that point, even, and I'm like,
Weird
how are
Al
you
did
doing
the
the full blown
splits.
split?
Please.
Dude,
He
it
put
was
his
like there were
leg
no
behind his head,
stage
too,
tricks.
right?
Like I was right there in Elliott Hall at Purdue. Like I was like, what?
Oh, I remember. I bought like some. As a kid, I bought an effects processor from your dad.
Everybody bought shit off my dad when we were kids.
I'm trying to think if I bought anything off your dad.
I don't think so.
Fucking amps, fucking
Russell bought my
mandolins.
dad. Russell traded. Oh my god.
Amps, mandolins. Fucking,
Like my dad even warned him that he was getting a bad deal. Our friend Nick Russell, who was
Used to
the
play
lead
with
guy in the Clinton era,
Yeah,
old band.
yeah.
He's in Chicago now.
played with
Like,
a Marshall MG. Sounded like a box of bees.
so yeah,
It's like taking the old death metal pedals and saying, remember those?
Oh, I had one. Dude.
You remember that class?
We all had. That's the thing is that we all thought we were badasses and had those fucking death metal
Bought it at
pedals.
McGuire's.
That's why I had the HM2 just to remind me.
and
it
the
could
damn
be
thing
worse.
took like 3 to 5
You never
minutes
use
to
it.
warm up. It had this buzz that wouldn't stop for a little bit until you waited. Nick was obsessed with it, and he got gifted this beautiful Ovation brand mandolin. By, I think it might have been Kenny, my current bassist in one of my bands. And he got gifted it, and he traded my dad that awesome mandolin for that amp. And my dad even told him because my dad he brought it up to my dad. And my dad's like, I'll do it, but you need to know, like, I need to know your parents are cool with it. And
It's like, I don't want to be blamed later for ripping you off.
He
right.
still got that amp and swears by his tone.
Yeah, he loved it.
He
And
made it work.
But see, I remember back in the day
Dad
when
still
I was
has the
like
mandolin.
just starting to play guitar, and I had one of those little shitty like, it was probably like a 35, 40 watt like crate combo cabs,
crate.
like the little combo amps.
Man, I had
Oh
great
yeah,
And it
I
had,
remember
like,
that thing.
Solid state.
and it was like, and I remember thinking, oh, this is so badass, yeah.
Dude,
and then
totally.
it's like, and I've listened to them now,
Yeah.
and like, or like I found a bunch of old recordings that I had done with it, 15 years ago.
Totally.
I'm like, God, it sounds like a box of bees.
Yeah.
It's
Did you
like,
Still
it's
have
just
that
this-
when we lived together.
It's like my crate half stack. Sounds like garbage.
No, I was using Neil's. I was using Neil's for a while, and then I had that Hartkey 4x12 and the PV.
Because we just plugged in direct to record, didn't we?
No, I mostly mic'd my kind of like what we did here tonight. I mic'd that Hartkey cab that I had.
yeah.
Remember, I had
Yeah.
that drum mic clip, and I
Oh,
clipped
yeah,
it to
yeah,
the side of
yeah.
the cab, so it had a permanent mic clip like right where it needed to go.
Nice.
And it was set up in like we lived in a 3-bedroom like flat
Yeah.
in West Lafayette on like the second story,
Yeah.
and I had my like 4x12 cab in my bedroom, and would like put it to where it was like just enough to piss the neighbors off, like if it got too late.
But not really to open up the speakers or anything. So it's like.
Yeah. And that thing wasn't bad. I had that thing for years up until I
Yeah, we
broke it in.
our rooms were across from each other too, so
The bees
See,
fighting.
we were lucky. We always had like worst case scenario. If it wasn't too late, we always had the place in the studio in Delphi.
Oh, yeah.
to go to.
Jamming at
But
Brandon's
other than that, we
parents'.
were a garage band. We lived in a townhouse and we were a garage band for a
Totally.
while with the Clinton era.
I
Like
remember.
literally a garage band, and we had good neighbors, luckily.
No.
Yeah.
And then Matt now the practice area is Matt's living room.
Yeah.
There's a drum set up in his
Your
living
neighbors
room.
are relatively
and amps
okay with
lining
it?
the walls.
Like,
Yeah,
nobody's-
I mean,
nobody's
because
pitched a
it's
fit?
just I just have it's a standalone house, and I don't have any roommates, so it's like
He
I don't
actually
know.
has a really cool house, especially for a single dude. Like the whole main floor, it's a
Be
kitchen.
careful, it sounds like you're starting to suck your dick a little bit.
listen, I'm just saying. Listen,
You got a belt.
He's like, you got a really sweet house for a single man. You know what I'm saying?
it's like, listen, if you want somebody who has converted their entire life into a practice studio, that's the guy.
And I've actually never been upstairs, but
No, you were up there the other day. and
Sure
you're like, I was
you
never up
haven't.
here.
he's only in your downstairs.
I only bring people up here to fuck, Brandon. That's why you're up here.
anyway, when you walk in his house, the main floor is just like a kitchen, a living room, and like another room, like a family room.
The
or some
control
shit.
room when we were like doing recording
Oh.
experiments.
But then he has an upstairs, and I think it's just your bedroom.
That's just like a bedroom.
And then he also has a basement.
It's for fucking.
So like, there's a basement and a bedroom
I'm so
upstairs,
proud
but
of you.
the main floor is just like general like people living.
I just
space.
store all
Don't
of
tell
me
what
and
that's about.
all
Basements
of
for
me and
sodomy.
Nick's hoard of gears, which includes like my 10 guitars and like 6 of Nick's and like all 3 of his Mesa Boogies.
Like I said, when you started sending me like pictures of like the gear, because we were talking about like, okay, you know, this is what we have here. You know, as far as if you guys didn't want to necessarily bring everything here, we got some stuff here and whatever. You started sending me pictures. I was like, fuck, I'm so jealous right now. I'm like, I saw that Mark IV and I'm like, oh.
All we have is like we have like 3 drum sets.
Yeah.
We do 2 actually.
Yeah, right?
Between the 3 of us.
Yeah,
No, we have 4. I have 2.
because Brent has
Because
2.
I have my old,
Nick
my
has
dad's
1.
old Slingerland, and then I have my DWs. So.
Yeah, we still need 2 drummers in our band.
We used to yeah.
We're not the graciously departed.
I saw somebody in Chicago. I don't know if you guys know the band Cursive, but like
No, I don't think so.
they've been around for a long time. But I went and saw them in Chicago. Oh, who was the band they were with? The band they were playing with that was on their tour was a band that like a third of the way through the tour, their drummer had to leave, and so they brought in another drummer. And then, but both of the drummers, and the band was originally from Chicago. So when they got to the hometown to Chicago, they were like, "Fuck it, let's just bring them both out." So they
cool.
set
That
up
is
they
cool.
set up the stage with dual drummers, and for their entire set, both drummers played every song together.
Dude.
Like it was the coolest thing I
That's
had
cool.
seen. Like,
Dude,
and it
sounds like a
sounded
blast.
amazing. Like,
That's some
Have you heard of the
coordination.
graciously departed?
yeah.
Yeah.
They're a
Grateful Dead cover.
Grateful
band.
Dead cover band. I saw them. It was just maybe 2 or 3 weekends ago. They held their own one-day festival, and you were allowed to camp. And the drummers.
And do acid, which is what everybody was doing, I'm sure.
Well, I wasn't, but yeah, there were people on acid.
That's
Right.
no, you did it wrong, Brendan. You got to look at the camera and go,
no.
"I didn't."
But there were people there.
They were definitely tripping.
But yeah, I went, and they have 2 drummers in their band.
Nice.
I think
They
it's
have
like a
dual
Grateful Dead thing. You know, they're trying to do the Allman Brothers thing. We used to have fucking practice at the warehouse at fucking Nick's house, which is where all my deafness came from. Like,
Oh, dude, you want to talk
I'll
about
go to
deafness?
I swear, I have not experienced any hearing loss yet.
Oh,
You want to talk about deafness? Ben, you can.
What happens in the bomb shelter?
Yeah.
The bomb shelter.
Years ago, when we were doing a Cold Dark Night, we used to practice in a bomb shelter, a literal bomb shelter that was like underground, and it's a giant cement box.
Where the fuck
And,
was
and
that?
we
How'd you pull that off?
and we like, of course, we were dumbasses, didn't have any
Oh,
sound
yeah.
deadening stuff on the walls,
Dude,
nothing.
so
It was like
that's what I'm saying.
we went down in there, and it was like we would play, and like you'd come out of there, and it was just like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
How'd you
means
score
it's
that
cool
as like a
songs.
Oh, yeah.
good
already
like,
written for the rest of your career.
And then we'd be
Practice
too
things.
fucked up to realize like how loud it was.
Oh God, yeah. And it's like now to this day, like I have a slight hearing loss on the left side.
yeah.
And it's mostly from playing drums
Is it hearing loss
because
or
My dad
The
lost,
hi-hat
my
and
dad
the
lost his right
attenuation.
ear because he was in traveling bands in the 80s, and
Yeah.
he lost just almost all of his hearing.
yeah,
in his
on my
right.
left side, and I only noticed it within the last couple of years. Like I, was like, I do have a slight hearing loss on the left side.
I do too.
From hi-hats and crashes being like right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
And-
like the big old hits and
Yeah.
splashing
I can't believe I haven't
around and
noticed
stuff.
anything yet because I've never used earphones.
Yeah, well,
or-
Brenton, it's called for Brenton attenuation. You like hit it harder. It's like we're a metal band or a punk band. Hit it harder.
yeah.
Oh, it's like the Pope.
It's like we
we
played outside at the Mosey, and me and Nick just brought like stacks of amps, and we were like
Yeah.
louder than Brenton.
we had like 2 splits.
I was standing in front of my amp. I couldn't even hear
Let's
Brenton
just
playing
drown
drums.
the drummer completely out.
Friends like, oh,
They were like trying to mic my guitar amp. I'm
And
like,
that-
don't
and I'm
worry,
back
let me
there
out of
like,
that.
giving it everything.
Dude, it's still
And
like I
people
was,
out front going, I still can't
dude,
hear you.
I was like I was
My
standing
arms are
right in
flailing.
front of Brenton. I couldn't even hear him playing drums.
It's like the- it's
we were
like that-
outside. I was just like walls of sound.
that Mesa Boogie is the cleanest song I've ever heard. It's like the Yelp reviews or something.
It's
And
like-
it's just like 2 of them
when I
at
was-
90 watts. Like, they burn,
Back when I was
burn,
playing
burn,
with
stuff.
Gambit, like the other guitar player that we had at the time, like he had gotten an old school like block letter 5150, and still to this day one of the loudest fucking amps
Dude,
I've ever
yeah,
heard in my
absolutely.
life.
Fucking
Like I was
killer.
running out of an orange like half stack. Actually, I was running full at one point, and we both were running full stacks. And just to be,
I love
But,
it.
like,
That's the point. Like,
yeah,
crank amps
so we were
work
running
at 2
full
amps.
stacks, and he like I would crank that fucking orange to like 9,
Yeah.
and he'd be on like 3,
Dude.
and I'm like, and he's drowning me out.
Yeah.
The fucking drums, like
Oh, those things are
everything's getting.
loud.
I'm like, oh my god, like why do you need this much power? Like,
It's like that time I used Ben's 8x10
oh, when we
to
yeah,
use as an extension.
that was at the spot show, yeah.
I ran it
Oh,
off my little.
It was awesome.
I ran it off that fender.
And that thing is
okay.
so deceiving because you see this little Fender rumble and you're just like, eh,
2x10.
fucking 800 watts. That fucker, he powered that thing and a full like 8x10 stack at the same time.
And peg.
Yeah, and was way too
They're like,
fucking loud. They're like, you need to go down.
You need to turn down. I had it down to like barely anything. It was like,
You need
Like,
to, but
you
you
know,
don't have to.
You know, me and
Yeah.
Nick started this band to be loud. Like,
Right.
We had these stacks of amps and guitars. We're like, let's fucking be loud. Like, let's do like, have 3 full stacks and just.
And then of course I
each-
bring you guys in here and I'm like, you don't have to be that loud.
Oh,
You know,
no,
like,
no.
we're miking everything.
We brought
Oh
like.
yeah, you like
No need
No,
for
no,
damage.
We brought like
never go
size
soft
down
in
rigs.
this
Like I
thing.
said,
Like-
normally I always bring 2 amps, and I like to run the delay pedal in stereo, for example.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Throw some of that in there.
Yeah.
So
That's
just
pretty
I mean,
We'll see.
only,
You know, maybe in a few months or a year or so, we'll bring you
Oh.
guys back in. We'll be better set up, and then we can run stereo like that for you. and
Totally,
do-
we'll try all kinds
Oh,
of cool
yeah.
things.
I'm sure we'll come back.
What we'll do is
Yeah,
we'll
we
set
can
it
set
up
up on
when
the
we know
bus
you
if
come
you
in.
want.
We'll get together like a week in advance and be like, okay, let's see what
Dude.
do we need. We'll set
You
this
know,
all
Not
up.
within 24 hours.
You know,
Yeah, not within 24 hours.
By then, our pedal boards will be like twice the size.
yeah.
that's what I love about my my Fender Rumble is like it has all the onboard effects and stuff
Dude,
like that.
totally.
And I can get an extension cabinet for it that's the same
Yes.
size, and it can do stereo stuff and whatnot.
Oh.
I've thought about playing around with that,
Dude.
with our stuff.
Welcome to Gear Talk.
You should.
I was gonna
For all of you guys who are not at all interested,
We
in
were talking
fucking-
about
Well,
it's 150s,
Yeah.
cranking it.
some of the some
like
of the
tube overdrive.
some of the potential viewers are like me. I'm the drummer over here. Like I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, but at least are you one of those drummers that like if we started talking about like tuning your heads properly?
Oh yeah, that stuff.
You
But
know.
when it's guitar gear and you're talking about pedals,
This
or-
guy in particular is like one of the most anal people I've ever seen when it comes to fucking tuning drum heads. Like
They sound
I come from like
great.
the old school like
Oh, you
punk
guys don't.
shit. Like when
Yeah.
I first started playing drums as a kid, I was mostly inspired by like 80s metal shit and like punk music.
Yeah.
So like I didn't give a shit whether my stuff was in tune or not. Like it was just like
Totally.
let's just be as loud as you fucking can and like you
And
know.
that's how I play. That's how I view my drumming for the blends.
Hmm.
But other things I do, it's different. You know, like
Dude, Brent's drum has been on point.
thanks, man.
Dude, like honestly tonight, like I was listening to it like when we first started, working with you guys like here and starting to track stuff. I was just like, damn, this is actually like it sounds legit, like good.
Well,
like it was
I loved having the headphones on. They didn't hear what I
You know,
heard, like
I
you
want
and
to
I
make
were
sure
hearing.
Brent
But
could hear my vocals.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I could hear
Yeah.
it through the headphones,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that was what really
Yeah.
helped. But
Yeah, and I had to say, like, it's just even just listening to the real basic, straight off the board mix that we were using for monitors. Like, I was like, fuck, this actually is like, this is going to be really good. So,
No.
like,
That's the thing though. It's like when I was younger, I didn't really care. I'd try and tune a little bit, but coming from the from band and stuff like that, marching band, pep band, jazz band, concert band, and all
Absolutely.
that. Like, yeah, did it all.
Oh yeah.
me too. I
But,
I was also in show choir and plays in musicals.
Oh, he did it all.
I was the stage manager usually for the
Exactly.
for that.
I played in the pit.
I was like the male lead singer.
No,
Meanwhile, I was just a
like
homeschool
after
kid that
freshman
didn't
year,
care.
I just went to I
Yeah,
just
you
went to
guys. I
set
forgot
crew.
you guys were homeschooled.
Yeah, I went to set crew and did all that
no, I
stuff.
mean, I
But
spent a little bit of time.
Yeah,
But-
you
Junior
did public
high.
a little.
as
bit.
I got older, I'm like, I will take. I think to tune those drums and to tune your drums when I got the new heads for those, I think I literally spent 3 to 5 hours
Oh,
tuning those drums.
my sophomore year.
I knew, like, when we were talking about, like, the other day, like, for your snare, for yours, that's been, I mean, your kid's been sitting at your parents for a while.
For like
Which
5
actually,
years.
the kit that these guys use tonight is actually
my
like
kit, yeah.
Tyler's kit that we use because it was just easier than
Primo.
than
Right.
bringing all their stuff over, so we already had one here. But like honestly, like that, I remember when we were talking about your your snare because we were like, oh, so we have variety of different tones and whatever. And when you were just like, I fucking gave up on it. I can't seem to. It just sounds like shit. And I'm like, I knew he had to have sat there for like an hour at least, just with one,
Hour and 45 minutes.
And it was like, I don't have the patience for that shit. Like,
it's
at
tenacity.
all.
Like
Me
that was the
like,
one.
I got a drum dial. I've never used it. Like I bought it and then I just never
I
used
thought
it.
you bought it and you're like, I finally tuned the snare. Now we can play. And
But to
then-
really learn how to tune drums,
No, I just had somebody else tune it
takes
for me
that
by ear.
time.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
when I was a sophomore in high school, I was like basically all the other drummers left after I was a freshman, and we took over.
No, it's true.
Yeah, like they
was
they
there.
just bowed out a band, and I there. No offense, Matt, but there was just no one that played drums.
No, that's
as
what I'm
well as
saying.
I.
That's
You
why I
guys got
picked up
fucked.
guitar because I
And
couldn't
so
keep up with Brandon on drums.
I
I was
really
like,
took pride in it at that point in time, and so everybody had neglected the fucking marching band drums, all
Oh,
the
they were
quads, the bass drums, the
bad
snare,
condition.
for years, maybe even a decade.
Bad.
And I
knowing that
still-
school, I can guarantee it was
I
probably a
spent
decade.
3 damn days going, like, staying after band camp or going before or going after hours when Dennison, Mr. Dennison, our high school band teacher, and he was new. Friedenmaker had just left, which you might have known
Yeah, I
him.
remember, yeah.
for a guy who only plays drums, let me say, like, in high school, like, I would be, like, going around testing Brenton's pitch. I'm like, what pitch is the fucking bell for class?
No, this is true.
And then I was, like, going through the xylophone.
And
like,
as
which
soon as
one
he
is
hit
it?
I knew.
It was like, there it is.
I had that.
As the band teacher, he's like, it's B flat or something.
See, I don't know
I was
anything. I don't know how to
done.
play a melodic instrument, and I don't know much about music theory other than drum score.
Yeah.
But I've
Yeah.
been singing since I was a kid, so when I hear it,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know it, and I'll hit like.
Dude, I could care a fuck less. Like I came like for me, I was one of those that I started out because I was all self-taught, everything like guitar, drums,
You know,
everything.
I pretty much can't sing. I just shout.
Yeah, and honestly, that's like the
There
way
you
to
go.
do
Well,
it.
it works for
Yeah.
your music.
Well, and the funny thing
Yeah,
is
you
that
write
you
the
find,
song,
and
yeah.
I'm sure you've probably found this too, like I did when we started doing Euro stuff, and even back in our Hero Returns and stuff. And I did some singing in A Cold Dark Night, mostly just backing singing stuff. But like, especially once we started doing Eros, and I was back to being the lead vocalist again, I found that after the more and more times we practiced, the more shows we did, the more comfortable I got with it, the better my voice got with it. The more I learned how to control it more and not blow it out. Like,
Yeah.
which especially for like, you've
Those
seen
first
like with
couple
what we
shows,
do,
you
like
just
I'm
wrecked your voice.
screaming into that mic a
Oh,
lot of
totally.
times. So it's like, and there's moments where it's kind of a sing screamy stuff kind of mix.
Yeah, you did a good job.
But when I first started doing it again, I was like trashing my voice.
Yeah.
Because it had been so long and I
I've
couldn't
been there.
remember how to do it. And it
Yeah.
was like, but the repetition of it more and more, you get more comfortable with it and you get better with it as time goes. It's like,
Yeah.
even like listening to you guys today while you were playing and recording and, and everybody will get a chance to see and hear, like, I've like heard a lot of like your old demos and stuff, things that you've had up. And I had to say, like, your performance vocally today was probably the best that I've heard.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not on any
Let
of
me
the
tell you.
recordings. That's
Oh,
all.
yeah,
The
like I
recordings
said,
are all these guys.
Me and Nick were doing everything just like
Yeah.
homegrown type
Oh,
shit.
that's where we come from.
And then it's like,
Well, it's always funny too, is because like he'd play something, and we were at the time in our Hero Returns, we were trying to get another guitarist to come in, and so that he could go home and look at it because he was really good at reading tabs. I would tab everything out of ours. Like I think I had every single one of our songs tabbed out completely, and he's like, "I don't know how the fuck you do that, man, because I don't even know what I'm playing. I'm just playing by ear." It's like I have like the whole like
well, but the thing is like
18th
you,
note, 16th note.
yeah, you used to sit there and like you would watch me play, like, because when I would do the demos of stuff, like obviously I would just do basic things, like I would just, I would track bass as well, but I would just follow all the root notes, just to give it a basic thing, just for a demo,
for that frequency in there.
yeah, and so you kind of get a feel for the overall sound of the
Vibes,
song.
whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then he would take it and he'd be like, "Oh, this is too fucking easy." Like, and then you'd start like playing around with this or that and changing things. Especially like now with Eros, it is night and day. Like when we just did our album we released it back in May, and like for that I didn't give you shit for that at all. Like I literally all I did was write my own guitar parts and I was like, "Here you go."
No,
And he just did everything.
Let me
all
tell
the
you,
bass
it's
stuff
like-
himself.
I don't know what Nick plays. I mean, like Like it's so good, but it's like exactly. I don't give Nick any direction other than like sounds good.
Just solo the whole.
You know, it
song.
sounded better. You know, yeah. And I was like, Nick, play the best solos.
And I think
Let's
part
go.
of that comes
Honestly-
because we've been playing together
Yeah.
so long
Same
in
thing with
general.
Brent,
you know?
like-
There was
Oh, yeah.
a
You know,
constant
But like he's never
understanding.
told me what to do on drums. I just do
Well,
it.
that was
Yeah.
the thing is like listening to you guys play off of each other on guitars. It was actually really impressive because like as a guitar player as well, like I'm sitting here listening to it and I'm going like some of this stuff technically does not work, but it
sounds
works.
good.
Yeah.
Like
It blends.
there's like I'm listening and it blends.
It-
It's like
Well,
and it's-
ones.
it's just like I was like, man, like because I was like I would listen, especially like earlier when we were doing sound check and
Yeah.
stuff, and I was like isolating you guys and like listening. I was just like, you'd be jamming whatever, and I'd isolate you, because I'm getting your mix, and I'd isolate you, and I'm like, these do not go together. But then it's like you put them on, it's like, oh, it works. Like,
And I somehow can drum to
Nick
it well.
can play
Yeah,
by
but
ear.
you know.
Let me tell you, Nick can play by ear, and that's the whole thing. I'm just like Nick.
That's how I am
Nick
too on
doesn't,
drums.
Nick doesn't know what
Yeah.
I'm playing. Like roughly, he watches me, but I can tell you're like listening, and that's like.
That's
many
how
times-
it works with
Yeah,
us.
how many
really.
times it's like, all right, time to do the demo, first take, and Nick's already got like the fucking guitar solo like tabbed out in his head, like you know.
Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the way the blends works is like you write a song and you lay the foundation, and it's kind of everything's experimental on top of that. And then after we play one song so many times, some things, you know,
You kinda-
we do the
Yeah.
same things at
Yeah,
certain
you start
times.
finding, like, stuff that
but
you
there's
like.
there's no
Yeah.
script.
yeah.
Dude, that's pretty much how we did it.
Yeah.
Anytime, ever.
Every time. That's
every
the
time.
blends,
That's what we
you
do
know,
it,
we
like
just
every time.
blend
Well, it's kind of
together.
like even with us, like usually, like although with our album it was a little different.
Right.
With our album, this last album we released, like that we actually all kind of worked together on that one, which was the first time we had really done that, you know, as a full band at the time, like really kind of work the songs out together. Usually it was like I would come up with like the basics, like you said, the foundation of the song,
like Matt. Yeah.
and then I would like demo it out, and then I would send it off to the guys and let them listen to it and get their input back from them.
See, we don't even do that. We just Matt
Well,
writes a song, we get together and we jam on
Yeah,
it.
that's what we did with The Awakening, which is the album we just released back in May. Like that's what we did with that. It was
Yeah.
just like I have videos of us like just literally fucking around and
Throwing
like coming up.
ideas out.
And in fact, one of my favorite parts of any song completely came out of the blue, just ad-libbed. Like we had the song up to a certain point, and then beyond that, we had nothing.
Right.
And at the time, of course, we had Kevin playing drums for us at the time, and he and I were just kind of roughing out the ideas. And we got to this part, and I had my phone. I'd set my phone up to record it, so I was like, because I don't know if you guys are this way, but I'm really bad about like I can't remember shit unless I have it
Always
recorded.
record it.
Totally, always.
So that way,
record.
because if I hear it again, I'm like, oh, I know what it is.
Exactly.
That's what I was
Like-
about to say. Matt, a lot
Yeah.
of our, at least our older practices, Matt would just record the whole
Yeah,
track.
record
yeah,
and
yeah,
practice
yeah.
that,
We've done
listen
that
back
before,
and try
too.
to remember what I did.
Yeah.
When you can, sometimes things go wrong. But
Yeah, and that was kind of what we were doing. And so I set my phone up and we played through what we had up to that point. And then somehow, like, through osmosis or what, like, Kevin and I were on the same page and we switched to something that we'd never played before. And we ad-libbed a whole, like, minute and 20 seconds to the end of it that we ended up keeping and is actually
Keeping.
in the final version
Well,
of the
and
song.
then I wasn't there for that, and you guys sent it to
Yeah.
me. I was like, I have the perfect effect for this.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
ready.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it was just like,
some
and
things
sometimes that
instinctually
works.
just
Yeah.
mesh sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
Let me see. You know, even before the blends were a thing, like I said, I started writing some of these songs when I lived in Chicago, and right when I got back from Chicago, me and Brenton was out in between relationships, basically, and
I
we,
that
I've
shit
just
works
gotten a
out.
divorce.
It's so
yeah.
well.
and I would hang out at Brenton's house, and I would just be like playing these riffs, and some of those riffs that got on the first blends EP that me and Nick did together were like riffs that I came up jamming with you, even though you were working with
We
other
were just
people.
fucking around,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Just fucking around and just like, wow, it's like some of these riffs that, you know, started as a song that I wrote in Chicago. Me and Brenton jammed on it later on, and then like me and Nick eventually sort of, even from that, you know, wrote some of these early demos, songs we don't really play anymore.
Well, and that's
but
the blessing I got from Dad.
Well-
like him. So sorry.
even the song that we played tonight, South American Green, was originally a jam that was me, Nick, Brenton, and some of our other friends just like at Nick's house.
Yeah, just, like, jamming
slapping
around.
it together.
Yeah, and then like later on, I wrote it into a song and
Yeah.
like added like additional parts. But just like just
See,
like
I've kinda-
jamming around.
Th- that's one of the things like with doing is at least where we've gone recently with Eros, we've kind of gone more that way, and it's with us it's completely intentional because I had a bad habit of like constantly, and it's a lot of it's because I have like just this music writing ADD where I'm like always writing different shit and like I'm just constantly working on new things, constantly moving on to something else. A lot of the shit never sees the light of day. But it's like I always get these ideas out, and it's like, oh, I gotta track this. Oh, I gotta track this. I gotta do this or whatever, so I don't forget it.
Oh,
And-
I'll forget it if I don't.
Exactly, I'm the same exact way. So it's
I'll
like
write that shit
with
down.
Eros, like the first two EPs, it mostly primarily was based on just shit that I was writing myself, and then kind of getting input from Tyler on because we didn't bring a live drummer in until last year, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just the two of us, and we never intended it to be anything more than a studio thing. It was like this was an excuse for us to start working together again because we hadn't in years.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was like, but I appreciate the idea of like experimenting and just like jamming stuff out because you can come up with things that you would have never done just on your own because you have a sounding board, somebody else to bounce something off of that will think of something.
The chemistry's there. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't have that chemistry on your own. I mean,
When I started, it was just me and Nick tracking in his apartment, even, and it was just me and Nick. We were like, how do we create a full band sound with just like two people, and just like try to write some songs. You're like, maybe someday we'll have somebody to fill out these parts.
Yeah.
Don't buy a Mesa Boogie cab clone.
Yeah, don't buy the cab clone. Like we used to use the cab clone all the time.
Yeah, it's some gnarly sounds out for that. It's like, it sounds like a fucking Super Nintendo.
The early the early demos.
Now, if you're intentionally trying to do that, like we did that, you did that on our
It's
album.
like how to just
There was
totally
a-
take your fucking
There, at the beginning of one of the songs
$2,500
on our
and shit
album,
it out.
like he did all the mastering basically.
Yeah.
Like I did most of the mixing production stuff, and then like I pretty much handed it off to him to do all the final mastering, and we kind of worked together on the final master. But you primarily headed up the final master, and there was the intro to one of our songs. Like he's like, dude, hear me out. He's like, just listen to this and tell me what you think. And the intro to the song, it's which one is that? That's
not Destroyer, the one before
Yeah,
Destroyer.
whichever one, yeah. But like it starts out with just a guitar part.
Warm? Not Warm.
And
No,
then-
that's from a different album.
Yeah.
I can't think of it, but anyway.
Anyways, like the
Ritual.
song starts out, it starts out with just a one guitar part.
Or Worship.
Yeah, it's worship. And he's like, hear me out. He didn't even tell me what he did, but he put like a little 8-bit effect on it. So like when you listen to it, it's all like,
Oh, it's like a bit crusher
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing. Okay.
And like,
That's
and so
good
I
fun.
listened
It just
to it.
reminds me of like Bowser's Castle and
Yeah,
it's just like,
yeah.
oh my
And so it was
God.
like
No, no, no,
when I
no.
heard it, I was just like, oh yeah, I get this. This is. I would have never thought to do that. That was something, and he added that in post, later. It's
Cab
like,
clone couldn't even do that.
and so when you were talking about like doing like
Piece of
like Nintendo sounding music, it made me think of like, doing that.
Oh.
It's like if you want it that way,
You
it's,
should have heard the demos, like the lowest quality demos, like you could imagine.
the best.
I have some that I could probably show you at some point from when I was like 15, 16.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we
back
could
when I was
too.
living in the
Oh, we got
neighborhood.
plenty of those.
No,
Yeah,
this is
we were probably doing
like,
the same shit at the same
Yeah,
time,
it's like-
a little bit. There was probably at least a year there, like in Delphi. You were still at your parents, and I was still at my parents, and we were probably
Just overlapping
both
just a
playing
little bit,
at the
yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
You'd been doing it longer because you're a little
Yeah.
older, but
Yeah.
we were. We got my
Dude.
dad's can mic.
Dude,
and we just put it in
can
the middle
you-
of the fucking
right?
room.
Can you remember
Please-
when I wrote that song?
Shredders are for Ninja Turtles.
That one too.
Dude, I like that title. That's a badass title.
We got in trouble.
Oh yeah, Brenton's dad did not like the lyrics of that song. Let me tell you.
Not a lot of people.
We had a listen. It was it was like our take on like a Green Day punk rock riff, but was like
It was like da na 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 na
Yeah, yeah.
na 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 na.
That was the riff. that was the guitar riff. I was just like, I'm gonna do my best Green
If
Day
I
riff.
see one more shitty scene band,
Like, break their necks, and then
I
like
wanna
Brenton's dad was
break
like,
their
"Don't we
fucking
talk about
necks."
breaking anybody's neck?"
Yeah, it's like it comes from the
and then my
era
dad,
where-
Matt posted it like my
This is
whole
MySpace.
MySpace
He
page.
posted it to MySpace, and my dad somehow fucking found it, and he was like, "Not in my studio."
Oh my god. Our band was like Trip Psych. We're like,
we
no.
named ourselves
Yeah,
Trip
it was-
Psych.
and we're gonna play like Green Day riffs. Like, what? Where did we get these ideas from?
we were talking instead of playing in band class.
Dude, I started like way back. Of course, like even growing up in you guys all know, like growing up in Delphi. Like at the time, of course, you guys, I feel you were a little luckier in that there seemed to be more kids interested in playing music around your guys' age than there was like with my era. Like I'm not that much older, but I mean, it's like when I was trying to do music back in early 2000s, from like, I was in high school from, 2000 to 2004. So like my high school years, there was not really anybody playing music in Delphi at the time. So like the only people that I knew that were musicians were people who lived in other towns.
Right.
So like I started learning other instruments out of necessity. And then same with recording. It was like I had to start recording these things because I didn't want to forget them. And it was like, so I'm going to start recording this stuff. And then I started learning how to do production. It was like, it all came out of necessity. It was never something that I set out and was like, I want to learn how to do production stuff. It was like, I need to figure out how to get this shit that's in my head out. So I started learning how to do it. And so like, I go back and I listen to some of like the early recordings I did back in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002.
I was 11.
And shut up. Like, those were my, that was
at least in
sophomore year.
But see, going back to what you said, like, you did that in Delphi, and so you didn't probably have someone a few years older than you as a drummer in Delphi that you knew did it.
No.
I was lucky because I had my dad.
Oh, your dad's a badass. Like,
but on top of that, like, there were people in Delphi I knew that were drummers that were just a few, like you and Jared Isley, basically.
White car.
So like I knew guys that were a little older than me in Delphi,
I see how it is.
like you and Jared Isley. That I was like, okay, so that's what I need to at least get to that level, and then or what at the time, like.
Dude, I gotta say, me and Brenton's band, the Clinton era,
we killed it.
Back when I was playing guitar.
Dude,
but let me.
The funny thing is like I was seeing a lot of stuff for you guys during that time period.
Oh.
Like, especially like
let me say,
on social
you probably
media.
had a
stuff.
young kid though at the time.
Like I was seeing a lot of like stuff on social media about you guys playing shows and doing this and that, and it was like oh, like you guys are out there doing it. Like
we really were. We were on our way.
To ever play at the Delphi Opera House? Let's say that.
Yeah, we did play the Opera House first.
We played Opera House. It was like our last show as a band, but it was also the first rock show at the fucking Opera House. So let's put it on the list. Oh my gosh. Our buddy Parker had the loudest orange jam.
And then we always did the Purdue
Rock
Battle
the
of the
Verb.
Bands stuff.
Oh,
and we always lost to one band, and they were called White Vinyl Sky, and they were a ska
anymore.
Here's why they won. They were a ska band and had a good saxophone.
No, they were not
player.
necessarily very punk. They're more like indie, but they had a sax
I said
player.
ska.
Ska's isn't a subgenre of punk.
yeah,
wouldn't you say?
I mean,
I'm saying
there's
these
different
guys.
variations even of ska,
These
but,
guys
yeah.
were more like indie with a saxophone player.
Anyway, I swear that saxophone players won't beat us.
Listen, I heard all the stories about Parker's rivalry with them. And
Oh, Parker like hated them, like without even meeting them.
Well, it's
Just-
like we
he
did,
did
dude,
beat
we did what?
No, but before
At
I'm
least
saying.
we did one Battle of the Bands in particular that I remember, and we were lucky in that like when we played that, a lot of the bands that we were on the bill with. In fact, it was funny because they did the drawing for who was going to play on what nights because there were several bands they were doing it several nights. They were basically going to drag it out over I think like a month or something like that, and this was in 2000, the end of 2009, beginning of 2010, and we got on it. What was funny is when they did the random drawing for the bands that were going to be on the bill, it ended up being like bands that we'd all played shows together for like months.
So you were already friends.
We all knew each other and like had been playing shows
probably helped,
together.
if anything.
And it was probably one of the best Battle of the Bands experiences I've ever had because we all loved each other and supported each other.
See,
so it was like
I always felt really because I have social anxiety in general.
I did for
when
many,
we go
still
to Battle of the Bands,
Brandon
and
seemed like he has social anxiety right now.
but you're like I am. Like it's
in the right setting, I can be extroverted, but
I became more extroverted as I got older. But I mean, you probably even remember like when I was younger. Like
I don't I hung out with Ben all the time. I didn't see you very
Yeah,
often.
I was awkward
back
as
in
fuck.
the days of If One.
I just remember you being like all
I
angsty
see
and
it
being
right
like,
there,
"The Crow's the best movie in the world."
The
As
Crow?
most kids did when they were like
Hold on.
15. Like,
Let me tell you.
I still love The Crow, but
But I
that's,
like
yeah.
it. You introduced me. I watched it because of you.
And I'm one of those that I actually. It's funny because I've watched all 4 of them that they made, and obviously they all got shittier and shittier as they went.
Yeah.
But like, I have things that I appreciate from each one of them. Like I'm that kind of a Crow fan where it's like I love the concept so much that it's like I will find like that diamond in the rough. There's like in each one of them, like, oh, there's this thing that I like.
That's
or,
like me with
like-
Pokemon. The more convoluted and shittier it gets, I'm still there for them. I still
But that
love
was like your
Pokemon.
generation in particular was like.
Yeah, it's just like
Oh, what we got
bring
here?
this out. This is what I first started like when we got into big boy recording. You know.
Dude.
like an old
Is that an actual
Dude,
Tascam? No,
my
it's a
dad
Fostex.
has one.
Fostex.
What is this?
My dad has one, dude. We have one at our disposal
Oh,
if you
did
ever
you?
want to be.
I remember these.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
and I don't know if you remember this because I don't know how often you came around.
I was like
in the house and stuff at the
03,
time.
04,
But like
maybe 02 even.
when I first started tracking, I actually had an analog recorder. It was my dad's. It was
I do remember
cassette
it.
tapes.
I do remember it.
It was a 4-track analog, so you would use like a cassette tape and you'd put it in.
Because you
and
had
it
your
4
drum
tracks.
set in your room for a while
Yeah.
too, right?
And when I
remember.
would track drums back then, I would literally take one mic. I'd take like a SM58 or something, and I'd take it and I'd put it in the corner of the room, and then just leave it there. And that's how I would track it because I was like, because the bass tends to get trapped in the corners of the room, so you get a nice kick drum
absolutely.
sound, and like more pro talk, I guess. Like
Hold
production
up.
talk.
You guys did a good job tonight, Mike. I'll tell you
Because-
that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, because I remember like when you would leave or to go do something with your friends, Ben was like, "Let's go see Zach's room," and then we'd go.
Oh really? Oh really, motherfucker?
Sneaking off to check out the fucking the drums. Do you fucking put your nuts on my drum set?
15 years later, I'm finding out about it now.
How old are you again?
I'm 34.
Okay,
Four
so
years
no,
older.
but that's the weird thing. That's what I figured that was it. You're 4 years older than I,
Yeah.
and I'm about 4 years older than Ben.
Yeah, you
but
were right in the
because
middle.
of the age bracket, how it worked out, Ben and I were friends.
Yeah.
But I was kind of just right in the middle of
Yeah.
you guys' age.
Well, and what's funny is
But
because
you
you
were,
remember
you know-
you remember Jack. Who
Jack
lived across-
Kennedy?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he and I were close because he was only like 2 years younger than me. So it was like it was
Yeah.
kind of this weird like. Of course, and maybe it's just because of that age. Like when you're a teenager, it's like 2 years is all right.
Fucking
But
goddamn circle we lived in.
yeah, there was a lot of.
One you still live in.
I was gonna say, you talking about Riley Meadows?
Yeah.
Riley Meadows. Well, hold up here.
But like, it was.
All the things that happened to Riley Meadows.
And I'm
Good
like-
and bad.
There's that thing when you're that age, though. There's that thing when you're that age where it's like 2 years younger. All right, but 4 years younger, it's like, nah, they kind of feel like they're kids. It's like,
Right.
so it was
I'm a
especially.
senior and they're a junior.
And it was, and also my little cousin Shane, or not
the
little
first time
now,
I ever
but
did
my
drugs.
younger cousin.
The Riley Meadows. Too late now, Brenton's parents. That was fucking 15 years ago. Smoking salvia.
It was legal then.
It was legal.
I think we all did back when
Yeah,
it was
I
legal.
bought like a
at least one.
bong. I'd never even smoked pot before. I was like, let's try salvia. It's buy it at the head shop in Muse. And
Yeah.
fucking let's not
Oh yeah, I remember. I had an ex that was working in the Muse at the time.
You're like, let's check out the drugs. And you're like, I've never done them before.
And then you get the little metal tin and you flip it over, and on the back it's like not meant for human consumption.
You're like, fuck it.
Damn, fire that shit up.
Because didn't they basically sell it as like potpourri?
Yeah. It was incense, and I'm like, fire me up. Shit. They used
That's
to
why,
sell-
like the guy that actually came up with it was just like, I don't know what it would do to you for smoking it. Like, I didn't invent it for that.
Well, it's like,
yeah.
and like I said
Became
earlier, I've
spice.
never done
It
cocaine,
became
but
like a
cocaine
fucking
comes from a
ordeal.
leaf.
Yeah.
Like people used to just chew that shit out in the wilderness and go hunting
Yeah.
and be better at hunting.
Well, that's like-
Probably.
here we go now. Welcome to Drug Talk.
No, we used to. I remember buying salvia from. Remember that shithole tobacco store that used to be where Starbucks is now?
Oh.
Which Starbucks?
on the corner here at Main and
Oh
Sycamore.
yeah,
Okay, I've never been. I was
Yeah.
never around this side of town much.
yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, we're old.
Yeah. I'm only 2 years older than he is. But.
Well, I basically went from Delphi to Purdue.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like Delphi, West Lafayette for a long
Dude,
time.
I've
But
been
we
back
had a
and
Muse,
forth.
which had all the drugs.
Like it's been within the last
All the
3 years that I even experienced the
I remember,
downtown
like,
Lafayette
they call
scene.
it synthetic marijuana. You're like,
In
what?
general.
And then you're like, you smoking, and all your friends are like having hallucinations. You're like, I don't think this is right.
I don't like this.
The thing I hated about
like friends are like, my friends are like puking in the bathtub. You're like, what is going on here?
Have you seen Rick and Morty?
yeah.
No.
Because you
Right?
sounded like Morty just now.
No, yeah, I have- yeah.
Oh, gee, Rick. Oh, I don't know.
G-Rig, we smoked fucking salvia, and he was, and fucking Clint was fucking puking in my fucking.
Oh yeah, it was like
I was
you were,
not there that
about
night, but I
ready
heard
to,
that
Take
story.
a shower, you're like, well, but that's not gonna happen
I'm
for a
not
while.
showering today. They were fucking smoking spice and puking in my bathtub.
Well, that was the thing is like back in the
Yeah.
day, like when all
There
that shit
you
was
go.
like legal. I remember like I did it a few times,
Yeah,
and I
I
was
got
like,
one, never mind.
Okay.
I was like, man, the only thing
Oh.
that sucks about it is like it's super short lasting, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, and I had like
Oh.
the worst headache afterwards.
Well,
I'm
that's
like,
the thing.
Well,
I
you
was
go down
telling
to
you
the
guys,
Muse and you're like,
we
you
always
think
got
it's
in
the
bad
same thing,
mood.
but it's
No.
not.
No.
It's not the
No.
same
We
thing.
always got in a really bad mood,
When it-
right? It's like
First come
I
out,
equate
you're
it to like
it's the
you know,
same thing, but it
the
wasn't.
day
No.
after you decide to quit smoking cigarettes.
Mhm.
10 minutes after your salvia trip, you feel like that.
Oh, let me tell
Like,
you.
you know, I need nicotine.
You know, I'm like traveling through space and everything's swirling around me. I'm like, I'm controlling the stars, man. I'm on salvia.
And all of a sudden you come back to Earth real quick, and you're like, fuck.
It's like I said. I mean,
Oh.
that one night, the last time I did it, I remember it vividly. Like just rolling on the floor, like I can't stop rolling.
Oh,
Again, this was legal
Oh, yeah.
in the United
Yeah,
States
right.
at the time.
Yeah, we're talking. Yeah, exactly. At the time,
It's like
yeah.
rolling, and I'm like, everything's swirling around me, and then it's
I'm
like
bound to the earth.
sitting in fucking on Brenton's bed tripping, and I'm like, I have like longer hair than I do now at the time, and it's like I'm like doing the spinning thing. I'm like, there are spider legs all over me. I'm like,
And I remember I got so paranoid that I sprayed Raid and Lysol everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad came in the building the next day. He's like, "Why does it smell like
Was
Raid
that-
and Lysol?"
hang on, was that
it was
the
like
time?
there was no other.
Hang on, was that the
Just like,
time we were
shit, I gotta find something, anything.
I think I was like, I threw up.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was trying.
drinking
And it smelled
tequila?
really bad, and they were complaining. So I.
First time I drank tequila, and we're in like puking and Brenton's.
That's a different night.
Wasn't the same night. Like
No.
how many times did we do
Could've
this?
been.
The first
We're
time, no,
different
the first time we
timeline,
drank, there was
that's
not we were.
No,
we
but
didn't know
I
about
thought the
Salvia.
time you were spraying Raid in the fucking Lysol.
Maybe that time too.
It's like all the times that we did.
But the time he noticed was
Cube.
after
By
the
the way, hi mom, hi dad.
You can edit this shit.
Too late now. Too late now. I already did the drugs.
Yeah, there's a good thing about the fact this isn't live.
I can't reverse the brain damage.
Blame it on my youth.
My only story for it was remembering taking it and then being like, whoa, and then you stand up, and then I thought the wall was electricity, so I slammed my head against it. Fell on the couch and watched Peter Fife play Age of Empires. And it was like, it's watching the game sideways, like, maybe that's the way the game's always been. And it's just like, no. And then within
Age of
15 minutes, you're
Empires.
like, you know what? I
Dude,
better
we
go,
played Age
That
of
takes
go to the
that takes
bathroom
me
or something.
way back.
Age of Empires 2, Nick and I
Uh-huh.
rocked that shit for years.
Oh, yeah.
Hold
Dude.
up, StarCraft.
StarCraft, yes.
Well,
yes,
shout out.
yes. StarCraft is the shit. Like
I got a StarCraft story for later.
we were
all
when,
kinds of
when we were
bullshit.
talking
It was
earlier
just
about how we
weird
lived in
shit.
that flat together.
Right.
Our bedrooms were across the hall, but our
Even-
closets.
Even in
like-
the townhouse.
yeah, yeah. It was different though there because like our, although your closet
No.
was on that side
Yeah.
too, but like in the flat I actually punched a fucking hole in the wall to run an Ethernet cable between the computers.
We're making faces at the camera, and Ben's over
I'm
there
having
like,
so much fun.
You ever name
having
legally
a
changed
blast.
from Kyle or something? It's just like punching holes.
So it was, I was like, I took like a screwdriver and just like popped a little hole that run a little Cat 5 cable through the wall, and like we had because I pulled the doors off my closet and I put my desk and the computer in the closet, and so we had like our computers were laying. We were just constantly like 2-3 o'clock in the morning just.
Oh, yeah.
we are old
Being
enough.
late to work, why
Like-
not?
Technically, Nick and I were born in the 80s.
Yeah.
89.
Yeah.
We're
Barely.
old enough.
Barely.
We had LAN parties with CRT monitors
Mm-hmm.
when we were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, Matt was there.
I mean,
too.
I was born same time.
Yeah, we were
You were
doing
90
that.
though, right?
1990. Like
Yeah,
what is that? Like a
you're
couple
young.
months.
We did that.
87.
We were doing that with like CRT
80s,
monitors and
89.
shit all the way up to
I said
like
that already.
2003, 4, somewhere in there. It was like kind of when we stopped doing those LAN parties. Because by that point, like Wi-Fi started happening and like
No,
it
where
was-
I lived.
Well,
yeah.
you know.
But it was like,
all
but networking because I used
Yeah,
to
you
work
gotta
for
keep the
I used to
dream
work for an
alive.
ISP back in high school and shit. So like I saw a lot of that technology kind of early on, and would play with it at home and shit because it let me
Yeah.
take some of the stuff home and play with it and whatever. And like, so we would do these LAN parties. In fact, out there at the school and shit, we did. I think the last one we ever did was out there, and we set up like a couple like long tables, and we had I don't know how many people we had out there at that point, but we were doing. By that point, we were also switching over to consoles, so we were doing like Xbox and PC stuff. So we
Yeah,
had, like,
We had parties
Yeah.
like that. Like
Oh,
there was an
it's all
Xbox, a
sorts of dumb
PlayStation,
shit going
and
on.
and that
6
was back in
computers,
the
you know?
old days before Xbox Live. So
Fucking
you had to use like
Halo
XBC
2.
and shit.
Yeah.
Like
Halo
Bringing
2
over the
at
big-ass
James's.
TVs and
Halo
stuff.
2.
Nick still
Like
swears
8
by the
guys in a room
CRTs.
fighting over
Yeah,
the
like
14
controllers.
controllers.
All of them.
Dude, okay,
Who
here's
would
the
have
thing.
known tube technology is still good?
Here's the thing, like here's the thing with
So that-
CRTs though, like after having worked with like an LCD monitor or like a plasma screen or whatever, and then you go to an old CRT like that, it gives me the worst headache now.
You notice
Because
the
it's a
curve.
curve screen.
Yeah.
You notice that curve
Yeah.
that you did it
It's
And,
before.
and a lot of it too is the refresh rate is lower than what you get with like an LCD. So like your hertz a lot of times is unless you had a nicer CRT.
But what if you're
But,
playing
like-
Street
That's
Fighter
true.
3 and you want your pixels to be like perfect?
Mortal Kombat.
That's like
2.
so. Here's the thing. Here's the funny
Yeah,
thing,
it's like
my,
just the way I remember it. And you're just like,
What's funny
fucking
is
seizures.
my son, my oldest son, in his bedroom, like he has my old 360 and he's got a PS4 in there. But the TV that I gave him to put it on is an old tube TV from like 2001.
still hooks up.
In fact, my dad and I were just talking about it the other day, and I was like, the funny thing is, I think I watched 9/11 happen on that TV.
It's like-
That was like,
Matt and I were in
like, oh,
sixth
good
grade.
time.
we were in 6th grade, and it happened right when we were in that period when they had.
you were doing
they-
iSteps, I think.
Halo
weren't you,
2?
that-
No,
at that
we
time?
weren't. Maybe the elementary school was, but
Yeah.
Matt and I. It was right at that period of time in the day when they made us watch that dumb news channel.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was during that, and I was in a. I forget.
Never forget
Oh,
9/11.
I was. The point of the story is when 9/11 happened. I happened to be in social studies class with the instructor, and it wasn't him.
That was a
The
good
person that,
word.
in case you were wondering, we've just jump cut like about 20 minutes.
But he was ex-military, so he just turned it on and let us watch
Yeah.
like the news feed.
The weird thing for me is like,
What was
I
that? Channel 1 or whatever?
yeah,
Channel 1, yeah.
Channel 1. Yep.
Channel 1 News.
Well, at that time, I had gone back to being a homeschool kid. I wasn't attending.
Right, because you
homeschool
only did
at
it in middle school, right?
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, I was in high school, so I was doing like
I
correspondence.
remember. Sorry, sidetrack squirrel. Tony Royster Jr. I remember seeing him for the first time on Channel 1.
Yeah,
Really? He
I
was on
still
Channel 1.
there's
That's
one of the
amazing.
ads from
Who
there
was
that
that
they did this weird
Tony
like
Royster Jr.
scream
Who's
to,
that?
and I
Drummer.
still remember.
drummer,
okay, okay.
and he was like one of those prodigy kid drummers way
Okay,
back
okay.
in the.
And he's
yeah.
so fucking.
He plays for like Jay-Z now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, but that morning, what was funny is like I had just woken up and like I was coming out. It was probably like 8:30ish, something like that. So I was coming out and I was like just waking up, and all of a sudden I'm hearing this like ding dong ding dong at the door. I'm like so I open the door and there's Jack. I'm like, what are you doing out of school? Like it's it was Tuesday.
So you would have been like
Yeah.
16.
I was 16,
17.
yeah. So I was like, what are you doing out of school? And he's just like, dude, fucking we're under attack and shit, like the buildings, blah blah. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, Jack was
And-
always like
yeah,
that too.
And so he's like, no, seriously, go turn on your fucking TV. So I walk into the living room, that TV that now my son has in his bedroom. Like I turn that thing on and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I proceeded to watch it like everybody else did for the whole rest of the day. But
I was
like,
Or
in
last
iStep
10
because I was in
years.
8th grade. So
Yeah.
I was in iStep testing
Or
when it
not
happened.
10
But like
years.
as soon as we got done with iStep,
yeah,
that's all we did the rest of the day.
You know,
Meanwhile,
what do you guys think about the moon landing?
I mean, but here's the thing
That
though
shit
about all
fake or
that.
not?
We
like,
need some more holidays. Like,
Here's the thing about all that
we
though
should
is
get
like
all
where I
over
went
with.
to high school, it was literally like 30 miles straight up the road from Newport, Indiana, where they had all the nerve gas stuff stored from the United States.
I didn't even fucking
Like
know that was
CX,
a thing.
nerf
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next day, they printed a news article about where the CX gas is.
And you're just like, way to go, motherfuckers! Like,
located.
just tell them exactly where it's at.
Just
So
to
that
follow
night
up
they were-
everything to get more juicy.
they were afraid that they were gonna like attack this place in Podunk, Indiana, and so
I remember-
they canceled everything after school that night and told us to go straight home after school.
I remember sitting
because
around
they
and
were
I was like thinking to myself, I was like, well, we don't really have a whole lot to worry about because I was still living in Delphi at the time. I'm like, really? People were like, yeah, but Purdue University's only like 20 miles, 27 miles away. I'm like, so the terrorists want to attack Purdue University because like,
I used to work above a nuclear reactor.
yeah.
at
Oh, I know. I've been
Purdue.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I was never.
I heard it was actually an electrical reactor.
No, there's a nuclear
Okay.
reactor.
No, they say there's a nuclear.
Yeah, well, there was. I actually just saw. Was it? I think it was TV18. Just did a
saw it in
little
person.
segment where they actually were talking about
It's
it.
under the annex of
Yeah.
Double E.
It's probably both. and
Is
I
the
just
moon
heard about
landing
one.
faked? Like, I want to know.
What?
I put it in the song.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we should probably get back on topic. Like,
Yeah.
as
we
far as
got sidetracked.
some of these like the songs and stuff. Like, what? I mean, obviously, you were talking about like how, the songs were inspired by
Dude,
different.
you like those sun amps? I'm about ready to fucking.
I'll be right back.
Listen, it's like, how many times have I pined over having like a sun amp? Me and Nick are fucking cranking the Acapulco Gold by Earthquake Devices. You know that one? It's based on like a Sun Model T power amp. Anyway, Earthquakes in the Sun. I just want to know, you guys think the moon landing was fake? Like, I put it in there to like accuse the moon landing being fake, and they might have landed on the moon, but I like to like leave it up to
You
speculation.
know what? Everybody's like, oh, did Kubrick make it? Yeah.
Well, me and Nick's last album, South American Green, it's about smoking pot.
Really?
South American Green.
They're pretty much all about that. I mean, it's just like a retroactive, like going forward, like there was that involvement.
It's like Earthquakes in the Sun. It's like, what's that song really about? Like cranking your Model T and being stoned. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like Gear Fantasies, Sun Model T.
So when it comes like as somebody who is also, I guess you could say, a lyricist at times, like that's the part that I hate the most is like I can sit and write music for days
Well-
easily, but when it comes to like writing lyrics and doing vocals,
Dude.
like
Yeah,
that's
you just
the,
got to dump them all
Well,
out there.
we
like-
used to
yeah.
just get stoned and have jam sessions.
and then
And
did
we
you ever
had
like
a mic
just
set up, and I would just like yell dumb shit into the mic. I was like, "Look at the pedal! It's
after
the
a while,
fucking
it's
Sun
like-
Model T, Earthquake in the Sun, bro."
Yeah, it was, it
That was the first song. That was an older song. Later on, I started writing songs. I promise you, like Acapulco Gold is like,
Didn't you just write that? It was that single day when we were all jamming together. When
Yeah.
it was like,
We had a
fuck it,
keyboard
I'm
player.
gonna move into my workplace.
we had a
and we're gonna
keyboard
do
player,
all
a
this stuff.
different drummer,
Yeah.
because it was me, you, Clint, and
Eric.
on keyboards, and it was like
Never see that guy.
no Acapulco Gold. I was playing the bass six, which I brought today.
And you were like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do a chord progression, and we all just like did it.
And
one
so
go,
we
and
had,
it's
like-
that's literally
we
how
would
the
just-
song is.
we would just hang out and have like these ridiculous jam sessions, and we'd like go listen to them later. I'd like pick out whatever I played, and then sort of like start writing lyrics, and then I'd like try to shout dumb shit into the mic, and then like pick nuggets out of that. That's how we wrote a lot of songs, basically.
And it just pieced together from the best. It's like the greatest hits, but the song is the greatest hits of all the different versions you've recorded along the way.
Yeah.
so it's like lyrically, do you ever like go back and like look at it and be like, was I actually like subconsciously saying something, or is it just like
Oh.
I really don't even know what
Yeah,
the
of
fuck
course,
this is?
that's
I did, and then I was like start adding like new lyrics about like faking the moon landing. I was like, what was I really getting at here? Like, this song's really about how the government faked the moon landing.
That's why I say opening song, like get people prepared just so they can walk out if
It's
they
like-
get really offended.
it's
It's
like,
like,
what is
you
this
probably
riff
wouldn't
really
like the
about?
show anyway.
It's like, we got a riff, let's just like add lyrics about smoking pot.
Because it goes together. Fuck it.
You start writing about the aliens, though.
Oh, let me tell you.
Oh no, there's extra.
Well, it's like, it's like the one song, it's like about like living on Mars. I'm like, oh, what's that song about? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like some bands like are that way where it's just kind of like free form. Let's just whatever happens, and then some bands like plan shit out more
Well.
more meticulous.
years. Me and Nick
In these cases,
fucking
yeah.
wrote these dumb songs over the course of years. I write a lot of songs about like having problems with sleep. I think, honestly, yeah. I don't know why. I've been like picking it up in my own lyrics. I'm like,
Right, 'cause
Matt,
we-
you're writing about having trouble with sleep again. Like, god damn it.
So I stay up to like fucking 4 in the morning.
I don't know if that's like something with like creative minds or if it's ADHD or what, but like I know a lot of musicians and stuff that have trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
I just-
Yeah, because it's always on your mind. You just gotta like just lay it out or something, and then you feel like some sort of.
I feel like
or
sit there and
you
play
sleep
solitaire
better.
for an hour before you
Dude,
get tired.
you know how
of it.
many times like I'll get on my fucking Xbox
You're like-
and like you're on like as far as because you're in my friends list on there, and it's like every time I get on, it's like last time Finney was on was playing solitaire 3 hours ago. Every
Wait, you
fucking
play
time, and I'm just
solitaire on
like.
the Xbox.
No, it's
No,
just, it's on
because it's
through
Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Yeah, so they're
Oh,
all the
so
Microsoft
Xbox
Live
Live.
accounts.
Just
Yeah.
making sure.
All the live accounts are connected, so it's like when I log into my Xbox, I see that he's been on playing solitaire, and it's every fucking time I'm just like, oh, he's playing solitaire again.
I can't imagine how annoying it would be trying to play solitaire with a controller
Fuck
instead
that.
of
That's
a mouse.
what I was thinking
Yeah,
all the time.
that's like-
Minesweeper or
Yeah,
some
that's
shit.
like when they tried to start bringing like real-time strategy games over to consoles. Like why it didn't work
StarCraft 64.
was because trying to mimic what you do with a keyboard and mouse with a controller is just
You're fucked.
impossible.
Well, and the same thing,
Like-
how they try to import
What
some
we
games
miss?
to mobile.
What
And it's
we
like
miss?
unless you plug a controller into your phone
Yeah.
and just use the phone as a screen, you're like
Oh, dude,
dirt
like,
to dirt.
like if you try to play like first-person
yeah.
shooters on a phone, and you're just
Yeah.
like,
Let me
what the
tell you.
fuck?
Trying to play like Final Fantasy.
Oh, I accidentally hit my thumb
Yeah,
on
you
the wrong
tried
part of the
and gave
screen.
up, right?
Yeah, basically. What did we miss? What haven't we talked about?
You guys got any upcoming shows?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, and indie.
Yeah, we're gonna play at the
Infinite.
Melody
Now
Inn.
we gotta remember like
Now.
when this actually comes out.
Oh,
The show might have
But-
already happened,
Yeah,
but yeah, our next show we're gonna play at the Melody Inn. I've never played there, but they do punk rock night every Saturday of the year
Okay.
at the Melody Inn for the last 10 years. Punk rock night. They get a lot of big bands in there, so
But we're not doing that night.
we're not doing that. We're doing like a Tuesday night show that I've like.
When are you guys doing that?
October 22nd.
So yeah, 2 weeks from today, basically,
Yeah.
from yesterday.
October 22nd,
Or-
2019.
Potentially 2 weeks previous to when you guys
Yeah,
see
yeah,
this.
So
so
whatever.
we don't
So that's our next show. We're gonna be playing in Indy. It's gonna be our first show in Indy.
Yeah.
Pretty excited about it.
India's actually
We also
like,
have a Christmas show coming up.
yeah.
Do we?
Is it
What?
on Christmas?
I've not heard about this.
I winked at you over
It's like Nick's like, let's give him a gift. Like, you know what I mean? The gift of rock and roll.
Dude, I just want to do Frosty the Snowman and like play one of the
Like-
notes like sharp or
It's-
flat.
It's like, give him a wink, we got a show.
Just like this one.
What's kind of sad, honestly, is like at least for us. I don't know if it's. Of course, you're just now starting to get like down in the indie area, but like for us, we found that like in this area, like sad to say, like the music scene pretty much died here. Like
Oh, yeah.
It
You gotta
used
go
to
to
be,
the spot.
yeah. It used, yeah. The spot is actually one of the few places that's actually
Yeah.
like doing it. But
They
like,
put us on twice this year. I've seen you guys
And the
there.
open
Yeah.
mics,
Saw fucking-
the open mics
Yeah.
are ramping up a little
but
bit.
a lot of
No,
the,
it-
it's
it's
still
a certain
nowhere
thing.
like it was 10, 12 years ago.
Oh no.
Like
Right.
there were venues
Right.
all over downtown. There were bands
Dude,
always
yeah.
playing.
Like I said, like Skylight. You guys
Yeah.
were talking about it.
Skylight, Downtown Records. You had like all these different
I
places.
heard about Foam City. I never even got to go there.
Like, I mean, like, Knickerbocker was doing shows.
Knickerbocker
yeah.
no
like-
longer does rock and roll.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
It's
don't
like
wanna do that
everybody
anymore.
was. There used to be a lot of places, and there's no longer anything like, unless you are a more of like a middle tier band where you can bring in the money. Basically, there's
Yeah.
nothing left.
It's
or
hard to
if you
fucking
are
break in.
a like complete cover band.
Cover
Yeah.
bands,
Plenty
yeah.
of space for cover bands.
Or a DJ, perhaps, because
Yeah.
of the simplicity.
few
of
spaces for the blends. Luckily, the
Yeah,
fucking
open mic
spot
nights are
is
kind
put
of
Well, and that
on
was
the
part of
last
why-
night.
And that's
Yeah,
fun to
because
play.
they're
I mean,
good.
Yeah.
That's
It's
just
just
my
saying,
favorite.
like,
Well, and
it's just
honestly, that's
for the-
part of why
the
we
keep
decided
up
that we
pace
wanted to do
sort of-
this.
Yeah.
Because this gives us a chance to kind of showcase some of the bands in this area that we're friends with and people that we know, or, kind of everybody that's networked with each other in this area.
Right.
To give them a chance to be like, hey, like, there's actually some good people here. Like, I've worked with so many fucking talented musicians in this
yeah.
area,
Yeah.
but I've always said that, like, this area is like a fucking black hole when it comes to music. Like,
Especially live.
nobody, unless
Oh, yeah.
you leave,
Dude, trust
like,
me.
you will never get out of here.
Oh,
It
it's
doesn't
like
need to be
dead.
that way.
Yeah,
Trying to
and
get
so-
established in indie.
But
like I said.
Indy for us has actually been a pretty good place over
yeah.
the
You
years.
tell me where you guys
We
are
have a
playing at.
better turnout in Indy or even like up in the Fort Wayne area. Like
The Dome?
The Dome
Okay.
is
Who's your Dome?
great.
Yeah.
I know. A
Back
fun
in the
story we
day,
can tell.
back in the day, we played at the Emerson a lot. I don't know how it is
Rest in
now.
peace,
Yeah.
Emerson.
Is it
Yeah,
not?
I heard
Yeah,
it's
it's
bad.
It's the Citadel now.
Well, they
Citadel.
moved. Basically,
I know.
what happened is the people that were running the Emerson, they moved to a new location. The Emerson's still there, but it's no longer being used as a venue. It's
Gotcha.
empty right now, and
Gotcha.
I think they were looking for a tenant to possibly bring it back up and do something with it, but it's just sitting empty right now. And everything that was going on there has moved over to the Citadel, which is actually on the west side of town.
Oh, gotcha.
Trying to catch my boys controverted healer. I've
Oh.
never been there.
Dude, I've heard such great things about that place, and I have not yet gotten a chance to go down there.
It is one of the
Like-
most badass.
And I've seen like great videos and pictures of the place. I'm like, oh, this
I'm
is.
gonna have
like,
to check
right
it out. Like that's why I want to go see you guys play because
Yeah.
I've never been there.
Yeah, it looks like such an awesome place.
I've not been there
But
either.
yeah, we used to play the Emerson a lot. Like,
I heard Controverse a bunch of cunts though.
yeah,
I mean,
country.
Whoa! Oh, diss on the controvert.
We have
the
the
guitar player.
we have like
This
one of
guy.
the greatest relationships with the guys in that band. Like, we give them so much shit and they give it right back, and we love every second of it. Like, it's been this playful rivalry that we've had pretty much from the beginning.
Yeah, so we just call them Controvert.
Yeah.
anymore.
Controvert.
Yeah, we do. It's to us like we always refer to them as controvert.
Controvert. Yikes.
We were gonna make shirts with it, like their old logo.
Oh
and
my
shit,
god,
like-
controvert.
Use the.
I heard it here
Converse
first.
Now it's made public, but like amongst us, it's been an inside joke for a while that we've called them controvert.
It's only because we love
Alright,
them.
who made up that one? Was that like some sort
That
of...
was that.
I don't know. I think we were just fucking around one day. And
That might have been me that did that.
Okay.
I think I came up with that one.
yeah. I came up with the Controvert makes me complete.
Dude.
That'd be good shit, man.
I agree. Hey, keeping kids off mids, right?
Got to have that loud.
Oh shit.
You guys don't know. Ben's running the cameras over there.
Oh,
Yeah,
fucking.
yeah. Like I said, we'll put a camera on him sometime.
He
Or
plays.
maybe not a good
Right,
idea
right.
to put me on camera all the
Right,
time.
what-
Especially if you're the one back there controlling the cameras, because then you just come and be like, FaceTime from me. Fuck y'all.
Did we kill
I
it?
know a good
Or
story
other
we have.
things
What?
that probably
Rensselaer
stay
road
behind
trip.
The camera.
Yeah, because what you guys don't see is Ben is currently back there with his
Never mind
pants
that.
down. Like,
That was such a wash of a gig.
Yeah, but the trip was
Listen,
fun.
our first fucking me,
right.
Brent and Nick had our first out of town gig this year, and it was with
In
our friends
Rensselaer.
Doppelpopulis.
fucking Rensselaer.
It was
Is
weird.
there even anything in
Nobody was
Rensselaer?
there.
Jesus.
We just got drunk
The
and
place was
played our
cool
songs
as
too
hell,
slow.
but
You know what I mean?
There was no. It was like the clientele was just older people and perhaps just not interested in any of
and
that
our
stuff.
friends
Even
have like a
Doppelpopulis
pop
just
punk
like
band.
playing it out
Yeah.
and just not.
and
They
had-
invited
yeah,
us. They were
yeah.
like, "Come on,
We're
we're
the
going
only-
on
we're
tour."
literally the
They
only
were
ones
going on a
there.
tour, and that it was close enough that they had us open, and we went. But it was our
Nobody
really
was
one and
there.
only road show.
It's the only time we played
And
that sound. So that's
but
what
here's the cool part of the story. In Matt's one car, we loaded my entire DW set, the entire damn thing, and all of their gear
Rear
in
is
one
totally
car,
fucked.
and all
There's
three
no-
of us.
Oh, yeah.
I was like this.
Oh, yeah,
in the
if
back
I would
seat.
have crashed the car, we would have all
I
died.
could not put a seatbelt on.
Yeah,
and I was like,
let's not talk about crashing cars and almost dying. He
By
and
the- by
I,
the
many
time-
years ago. Like,
By the time, by the
Still
time we
got
got back from the gig,
straps in your
3
shoulder
of the
to-
tires were flat.
yeah,
we didn't die.
We made the whole
Seriously.
gig. We took the whole gig with all of our equipment, including my entire drum set. Would you've seen my drum set?
Yeah.
It's
Extended
not
DW
small.
set.
Have you seen my drum set?
He had the double bass out. Anyway, the point of the story is, we almost died for nothing.
Yeah.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like I was curious to be like, what were kind of like some of your nightmare shows? Like every band has had a few of those like nightmare shows where it's like you show up and like either nothing's working
Oh,
whatsoever.
That was the nightmare show.
or
That
like,
was- that
nobody
was-
shows up.
Now listen,
like-
We got lucky
nobody was
because
there. The host was like gracious. We
Yeah,
all got like
yeah,
they were
super
great
nice
food
hosts.
and liquor.
The
Great
co-owners
place.
were
It's
there
really
that
fun.
night.
The owners were
and
there,
They
and
gave
they
us
were like-
free food
They
and
kept
everything.
pouring us like
you know,
expensive
so-
whiskey, but nobody was in attendance.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of like when we played in Danville many
Oh,
years
God.
ago. Because
Was it at a bar on a country road?
No, it was
No,
a, it
'cause
was
I
a
put-
bar, but I can't.
There was a place. Speaking of bars in Illinois on a country road, we played somewhere.
was that
It was like northern
Calicolor?
Illinois though. Yeah, it was with Calicolor because our drummer at the time I won't mention. But our drummer at the time was
Does it have the word inferno in it?
Well, he was very high on Adderall and cocaine,
Why not both?
and
Oh Jesus!
and
It's the blends all over again.
the other two in the band were stoned, and I had been drinking, and so it was just a weird mix of like chill and then fucking rabbit fucking on the drums. That was a
Who I
bad
think
show.
it is.
I remember playing when we played that show in Danville. Like, I mean, there were people in the bar, but I don't think
No one cared about
Nobody
us.
came into the area where we were actually playing our set because it was kind of off to the side of the bar area.
They might have
And-
gave us drinks, and I might have been underage at the time, but
Yeah, I mean, what statute of limitations is 7 years, right? So it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's long enough.
Well, at least you weren't underage and doing Adderall and cocaine.
Yeah.
No, but like that show, although I wouldn't say that was like the worst show.
that was the show that you popped me in the mouth with your
That was
guitar.
your own fucking fault. And I still to this day. Okay, so
most metal moment ever.
you've seen, like, even with Eros with
Yeah,
us
yeah.
play, like, I'm not exactly somebody who stays stationary.
Yeah, yeah.
I stay mostly stationary because I have to, because I have a mic stand, I'm doing vocals too.
Been there, dude.
But aside from that, I tend to like to move around and
Rocking
swing
out.
my guitar and do crazy
Especially
shit.
in
Totally.
Our Hero Returns when you don't have to sing.
Exactly. I was only doing backing vocals back then, so I had all this room to run around and swing. I used to throw my guitar in the air like Pete Townsend style, like just to do all sorts of crazy shit, jump into drum sets, all that kind of stuff. And like, we were playing in Danville, and he fucking knew because it was the same spot in the song that I did this every fucking show. Every show we would get to
That's
this one
Kids
spot,
Fall.
and I would do this thing where I'd swing back my guitar like this,
Ouch.
And you
and
just
he
clocked him?
walked into my zone.
No, they finally
That headstock went BAM!
Dude, I've seen so many videos. of
Right
this.
into his mouth.
So,
The
I
best,
gotta ask you.
the best part though, get this. He does not stop playing the entire time. We keep playing. I look over and he walks over nonchalantly over to this trash can and goes and spits out a mouthful of blood into the trash can. Doesn't stop playing, just keeps going.
So let me get
I'm
this.
like-
That's fucking mad.
Let me get this straight.
That's fucking
So he was swinging the guitar back.
yeah.
Not only did it hit you, but you were walking toward it.
Yeah, and
So
I
there
was
was like
swinging
momentum
back.
going against each
Yeah.
other.
Double hit.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how it didn't split your lip wide
I don't
open.
know.
Like,
I think it did on the inside, but
I was just like, and then afterwards, like, I look at you and you're just like looking at me, and I'm just like, what, motherfucker? You know, like, this zone, don't walk into this
it's
zone.
more of those like, all right, I deserve that one.
Did we do it, boys? Did we podcast?
I think we podcast. What do you
Okay,
guys
Yeah,
think?
it's like
Cheers.
midnight. Like,
yeah.
Cheers, fucking last fucking drink of that.
Yeah.
Bam.
It was awesome having you guys out here, honestly.
Dude, I had a
like,
fucking blast.
It was
and
great.
you're welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah, just
We'd
get
love
all
to have you
yeah,
guys back
hit
out
us
here.
up. I mean, definitely get some more bands in the rotation.
Yeah, dude,
first,
totally.
but-
We
Someday.
honestly, the crazy thing is pretty much since I put out the kind of open call of like, hey, we're doing this now.
He puts out a lot.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I was gonna say mostly for you, baby.
Yeah.
Anyways, but we like I started actually getting quite a few people like
Good.
messaging me about it.
It's gonna be
So
fun.
like, you know, it's gonna hopefully only go up from here. Like
Yeah.
it's, you know, this is kind of the ground.
So this
level.
is episode 1. Hopefully
Episode
we'll see you guys
Episode
back
1.
by like episode 50 maybe.
Dude, I'm ready
episode
for it.
50. Like,
If there's 50 bands around here, you better do all of them.
oh, he'll
And
do
then you
all of
run
them
out
for
and
sure.
it's like, all right, there's the blends. Like, did they write any new songs? Like,
It's like,
you got some?
yeah.
I told
We got
myself,
music demos EP on the way.
Yeah, what kind of social networking? you guys
We're
have?
on Bandcamp right now and Facebook for the most part. I got an Instagram that I use.
You guys got any shameless plugs to put in there?
Aside from that,
Dude,
one show.
got to give it up for my boy Greg Simpson for he helped me and Nick record an EP that is 4 songs to come out soon.
Nice.
So
Do you have a release date yet for it? You know,
he's still
when
in the mixing mastering phase, but we did our 4 songs in 10 hours. So
and that is
yeah.
not. I am not on.
Doppelpopolis.
That's just
Yeah, no, just me and Nick. We Nick did guitar and drums, and I did guitar, bass, and vocals. We did 4 songs, 10 hours. But
Well, I believe we will be giving you guys files from today. So.
Heck yeah.
cool. Check it
Yeah,
out,
you'll definitely have, you know, everything from what you guys did here, and
dude. Thanks for having us out.
you know, like I said, you guys were a blast to have in here. Like it was
it
so
felt
easy,
really natural, you know.
Yeah,
so
totally.
easy, like
Totally.
having everything set
Natural.
up.
Check
like,
it out.
For me, like it was weird because like I know there's
Yeah,
cameras
they're here.
around, but like
Thanks, man.
I felt more comfortable doing this than when I knew cameras were on me when I was drumming. Even
Yeah.
We fucking know
Like,
you guys.
it just
You
kinda
guys had
just-
it multicam. I'm excited to see what you guys put together. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much,
All
Well,
right.
guys, thanks for
Ben.
coming on. Like
Zach.
I said,
Blends.
Tyler.
Check them out.
Benny, come in here real quick. Come in
What
here.
up?
You get,
Is he on cam?
So Benny can be on camera.
Finally.
You
Oh,
can-
he's also got a King's Gambit merch on.
Yeah, you can. You can
Oh,
look at that
whatever
camera
merch.
or that camera.
All
or
the
there.
merch. There's a camera there.
They're both
Camera
on
there.
right.
really
Yeah,
quick.
but your back is on one, but your face isn't. You know. You gotta,
All the it's got all the cams on him.
yeah, he's used to that.
He's a
like,
cam whore.
Running
Cam men.
cams all day and this third camera.
Really
Yeah.
quick, this is all about local music, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and this might be a band that you could get to come sometime.
Yeah, actually, I was just talking about how I want to talk with
yeah.
them about coming
Yeah.
out.
Let me say-
I wore my Abercorn shirt I just got today. They're good guys and gal.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
like I said,
we've
me
known
and-
Parker.
yeah.
Their lead
Yeah.
guitarist
Yeah.
was from Delphi too.
Yeah,
but
way
he moved
back
to
we used to play
Frontier.
in the
But
Clinton era, like I said.
we're all friends with the whole band pretty much. And
Nice.
All right. Fuck,
Well,
I'm
guys,
done.
it's been awesome having you out here. Thanks for coming out for the
Dude.
first one.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See you
We'll
next time.
do it again.
yeah, sweet.
Later, fuckers.
Place out. Okay.